Chapter 1181. Ever since Su Yin saw the Guardians of Dragon City for the first time, he felt a sense of familiarity. Now that he thought about it, they were all puppets, so they could retain a long lifespan. Although immortality was something everyone yearned for, puppets also had a huge flaw, which was that they couldn't increase their realm. Of course, it was too difficult to forge a powerful puppet. This kind of ancient inheritance had long been extinct. Even if one grasped this kind of inheritance, it was extremely difficult to forge a powerful puppet. Su Yin also grasped the type of puppet. It was said by the prehistoric Big Brother that it was an uncanny workmanship that was hard to find in the world. It was a shocking puppet forged using a secret technique. Su Yin could now confirm that the Guardians of Dragon City were all puppets of the uncanny workmanship series. Then, this puppet technique was really ridiculously strong. After all, it alone allowed them to have a long lifespan. This kind of forging technique was enough to make all the races in the world go crazy. Senior, please take a look. Su Yin directly took out the humanoid puppet. He said in a low voice. This junior also grasped the type of puppet. I hope Senior can guide me. I want to repair this puppet. The humanoid puppet that Su Yin took out had some cracks. He didn't know how it was damaged, but he believed that it was a treasure that the prehistoric Big Brother valued. It definitely wouldn't stop at the level of the Divine King. Once it was repaired, it would definitely shock the world. This, 9 dragons and the others were a little surprised. A group of guardians surrounded them one after another. Their eyes stared unblinkingly at the humanoid puppet that Su Yin took out. Vaguely, the humanoid puppet emitted a kind of aura. It seemed that it had met its own kind and automatically emitted a kind of aura. This made Dragon 9 and the others feel heavy in their hearts. They had a feeling of submitting to the puppet. Dragon 9's breathing was heavy. He shouted in a low voice, "You activate it." Buzz. Su Yan's palm shone and pressed on the puppet's chest. This silent humanoid puppet instantly came to life. It emitted a powerful demonic god's power, and the puppet's aura soared to the limit. This damaged puppet glowed like an ancient god. Although it was full of cracks, it was too tall in the eyes of Dragon 9 and the others. It was like a bronze giant towering between heaven and earth, extremely imposing. This kind of feeling could only be experienced in their spiritual world. It was powerful and terrifying, like a fiend god tearing apart the 9 heavens and 10 earths. It was suffused with a great might that shook the heavens and the earth and made ghosts and gods weep, causing the 9 dragons and the others to tremble. Oh my God! One of the guardians trembled while he stretched out his palm with excitement, and he stroked the bronze-colored puppet's body as he said with a trembling voice, "This is an outer shell forged from the strongest precious material, ancient bronze immortal crystals." Ancient bronze immortal crystal. The rest of the guardians turned pale with fright. How could they not know how precious this thing was? Even their old master probably didn't have such a precious material. The ancient bronze celestial crystal was the most powerful type of precious material. However, the puppet that Su Yin took out was actually forged from such a large piece of ancient bronze immortal crystal. Su Yin and the others were confused. They had never heard of what kind of material the ancient bronze celestial crystal was, but what kind of weapon could tear this kind of material apart? Unbelievable. What kind of weapon could tear apart the ancient bronze celestial crystal and cause its power to dissipate? 9 dragons said with a trembling voice, "I think this forging process should also be of the uncanny workmanship series. Could this be one of the strongest puppets in the legends?" Seeing the shock in the expressions of the group of almighty puppets, E.C. Yun and the others were surprised. What level was this puppet? Could it be a puppet that surpassed the almighty level? The guardians were discussing excitedly, and Su Yin couldn't help but interrupt. "Seniors, this puppet is indeed of the uncanny workmanship series. Then you. There's nothing to hide about this." 9 dragons said in a deep voice. He said, "We are indeed puppets forged by the uncanny workmanship. The standard is neither high nor low. This uncanny workmanship is the greatest forging technique in the world because it can forge forbidden puppets." Yuan and the others were dumbfounded. Forging forbidden puppets. Were they sure they didn't hear wrong? There's a forging technique in this world that could create such forbidden puppets? Who would believe it if word got out? Are you for real? Dali was speechless. Then why didn't your old master forge a bunch of forbidden puppets? Why would he be afraid of foreign enemies? Hearing this, Dragon 9 looked at Dali as if he was looking at an idiot. He snorted and said, "Do you know how difficult it is to forge a forbidden puppet? The resources required are immeasurable, and it even requires rare treasure materials. Every kind of treasure material is the lifeblood of forbidden puppets." "So, my puppet is a forbidden puppet?" Su Yin asked. "It's hard to say. We have never come into contact with such puppets." Dragon 9 stared at the bronze humanoid puppet and said excitedly, "This is the ancient bronze celestial crystal, the strongest treasure material in the world. It can be said that it is difficult to find. I think it is one of the strongest puppets in the uncanny workmanship series." Uncanny workmanship, another guardian said. "It originated from extremely ancient time. It doesn't even belong to our world. Our old master's uncanny workmanship is not the best, but it is not weak either. This was an inheritance from the foreign lands." They had heard 9 dragons mention before that there were very few divine king puppets forged by uncanny workmanship. Usually, they were only at the level of a mighty being. Of course, there were also forbidden puppets, but they were very rare. It was even said that this lineage had once forged the strongest puppet. It was beyond the scope of human knowledge. It was difficult to imagine how terrifying it was, but it definitely possessed unparalleled divine power that could destroy the world. Now that they saw the puppet forged from ancient bronze celestial crystal, they felt that it was very likely to be the strongest puppet in the legends. "That's..." Yuan turned pale with shock. "We really struck it rich. If this puppet is really restored, then it's very likely to be even more terrifying than a taboo. If it's restored, then wouldn't we be invincible in the world?" Su Yan's hair stood on end. The civilization of the foreign lands was really shocking. They could even forge such a puppet. "You're really lucky to be able to obtain such a puppet." 9 Dragons' words were filled with envy. He said, "This thing is really too precious. Even I, a puppet, am envious. You must not let anyone know that you have a puppet." "I'm really lucky." Su Yin nodded. He trusted Dragon Jiqing very much. He had already bathed in dragon essence. Why would he not trust Dragon Jiqing? "Senior, the main point is, can you help me restore it?" Su Yin smiled bitterly. "If it can't be restored, it's also useless." Dragon 9 and the others discussed for a while. They had never come into contact with this kind of puppet and were not very confident. However, they were confident that they could restore a part of it first. If they succeeded, then this puppet would be restored to the level of a mighty being. As for restoring it to perfection, they knew that they could not do it. It would be extremely difficult for their old master to revive. "What materials do you need? I'll go out and search for them now." Su Yin felt a rush of excitement. If he could master the power of a mighty being, why would he need to fear all the races in the world? He could completely do whatever he wanted in the universe. "Don't worry. Dragon Jiqing has a lot of refining materials here. After all, it's just repairing a part of it. We can use other materials to replace it." Dragon 9 also attached great importance to this matter. Maybe he could find out something that could allow them to evolve further. "Senior, I haven't made any contributions to Dragon Jiqing. I even got such a great opportunity before." Su Yin was quite embarrassed. Dragon Jiqing exists. The purpose is to cultivate the powerhouses of our world. Dragon 9 didn't think much of it. He said, "It's just some materials. Dragon Jiqing can still take them out. Moreover, these materials are placed here. If we don't use them, they will go bad. Moreover, forging this puppet may be of great help to us. You don't have to feel burdened. Moreover, it may not be successful. Then I'll have a trouble, Senior." Su Yin said gratefully, "It's just that it will take a long time. It's estimated that it will be extremely difficult to complete in 1 or 2 years." Dragon 9 said, "In short, it's still hard to say. You guys stay here and cultivate first. We have to study it first and see how high the success rate is." This was the strongest puppet in the legends. It required a long time to explore it. Even if it failed, it didn't matter. This puppet was equivalent to an indestructible body. There was probably nothing in the world that could completely destroy this humanoid puppet. Just like that, 9 dragons and the others found a place to study the humanoid puppet. I need to go into seclusion for a while to digest the dragon essence. Su Yin sat cross-legged on the ground. His sealed body was released. Blazing divine light emerged from his flesh shell. 9 dragons' life essence, even if it was a very small part, was a great fortune for the current Su Yin. The blood essence in his body surged. The divine king's body glowed. As he spat it out, the surroundings were roaring. Big Brother's body is too abnormal. With the nourishment of the dragon essence, I estimate that his strength will skyrocket in a few months, Dudley said excitedly. In this way, Big Brother's accumulation in the divine king's realm will save him 10 years of bitter cultivation. In the future, the time it will take for him to become a supreme expert will also be greatly reduced. Yes, the progress of every small realm in the divine king's realm is too slow. Yuan's face was full of envy. Then, she smiled bitterly and said, "We should also seize the time and properly comprehend Dragon City's inheritance. If Su Yin is allowed to continue improving, the gap between us and him will only become bigger and bigger. It's okay. In the future, when the sky collapses, there will be someone tall to hold it up." Isi smiled. She had really gained a lot from coming to Dragon City this time. They had found the Bao Kai, and Su Yin's puppet problem had also been solved. In fact, Su Yin could even accumulate enough strength to become a divine king in a short period of time. After all, in terms of Tao, Su Yin already had the ability to comprehend the universe's profound mysteries. If his physical cultivation could keep up, then Su Yin was confident that he could reach the peak of the divine king's realm in a few short years. Generally speaking, it would take 10 to 20 years to cultivate from the divine king's realm to the peak of the divine king's realm. This was already an extremely abnormal speed. In history, there had also been cases of heaven-defying progress of one small realm in a year. But this time, Su Yin had obtained a great opportunity. He was confident that he could raise his strength to the peak of the divine king's realm in a few short years. Then, he really wasn't far from becoming a supreme expert. Time quickly passed. In the blink of an eye, 3 to 4 months had passed. Some new faces came to Dragon City, with the bloodline of the true dragon flowing in their bodies. However, the city's guardians were greatly disappointed. They were looking forward to the purest bloodline of the true dragon bloodline. Unfortunately, they couldn't find any true dragons in the entire flourishing age. The significance of Dragon City's existence gradually decreased. If the Bao Kai could successfully obtain the final inheritance, then Dragon City would probably be completely closed. On this day, Su Yin woke up and refined all the dragon essence. He wasn't prepared to stay in Dragon City for long. He wanted to go to the Abyss to investigate thoroughly and see if Tensor had fallen. 9 Heaven's Divine Sovereign. Chapter 1182. Inside Dragon City, vast amounts of blood essence surged. It was as grand as the Azure Dragon King patrolling the 9 heavens, enriching the world-shocking divine might of a king. Su Yan's physique was too strong, his blood essence was exuberant, and his vitality was extraordinary. In these few months, he had refined all of the dragon essence, causing his foundation in the divine king realm to soar by a large margin. At this moment, Su Yin woke up. The energy fluctuations that had leaked out were all restrained. Dragon City had lost the sea of essence blood, and it had lost a kind of invisible, terrifying pressure, causing the new creatures in the city to feel scared. Too abnormal, Su Xianren just broke through, but he broke through a realm. How long has it been? The most stunning genius in our race's history, the Divine King Realm First Celestial Layer, also took as long as 3 years. But how long did he take? They were discussing in a low voice. They weren't clear about Su Yan's realm, but they felt that he was even stronger than the Divine King at the peak. The blood essence in his body was vast, practically covering the entire Dragon City. This made them shocked. If it was purely a contest of physical strength, Could Su Yin contend with an ordinary almighty? This was the extraordinary life essence of the 9 dragons, allowing Su Yin to possess an extraordinary foundation. When his eyes opened and closed, divine light shot out in all directions, nurturing a kind of divine king's might, making it difficult for people to look straight at him. Su Yin, who was standing in the 5th celestial layer of the divine king realm, was really like a transcendent heavenly king, overlooking all desolate lands. The life energy in his body was too terrifying. Was there anyone in the same generation who could contend against him? The number 1 person in the divine king realm. These experts with dragon blood flowing in their bodies were all speechless. He really lived up to his reputation. You're leaving? Dragon 9 was a little surprised and said, "It's only been a few months. The puppet hasn't been repaired yet. We've only found a rough path. We still need to experiment a lot." Hearing this, Su Yin walked up and said, "Senior, there are some urgent matters outside that need to be dealt with right now. As for the matter of the puppet, I'll leave it to Senior. Junior will come back to take it after a few days." "All right, up to you." Dragon 9 said, "Dragon City won't close in a short period of time. When the time comes, just come directly. However, whether or not you can succeed is another matter. Don't hold too much hope." Su Yin nodded. Su Yin. Just like that, their group left Dragon City. Someone, outside the city, many onlookers had gathered. There were even many powerful beings waiting to take the test. The appearance of Dragon City caused a huge commotion outside. This city was even more magnificent than Universe City and attracted the attention of tens of thousands of sections of the other. Therefore, the value of Dragon City was too shocking. All the major clans were jealous. Unfortunately, the conditions to enter the city were too harsh. Now that Su Yin and the others had come out from inside, it immediately caused a huge commotion. Moreover, Su Xianren, who was known as the Divine King's number 1 person, was in awe from the bottom of his heart. He was an existence that killed to the point where he was almost invincible. His name alone was enough to awe the proud sons of heaven of all clans. Now that Su Yan's group left Dragon City and disappeared in the wilderness, it attracted the close attention of all the clans. I really don't know what Su Xianren got in Dragon City. I don't know if there's a way to step into the Almighty Realm. The Almighty Realm is still a bit far from Su Xianren. It's hard to break through without a few decades. Now, the one with the most hope to break through is Tsangtian. At this point, some people who were discussing went silent. Originally, Qiuming was the first, but he died too miserably. He was killed by Su Yin several times and died miserably in this dangerous place. The sealed heaven region was also completely mute. They didn't give any response. The entire clan was silent. The various sects suspected that the sealed heaven region was scared and didn't dare to show themselves again. Even if the clans still had young, proud sons of heaven, they didn't dare to let them rashly come into the world. They were really afraid that the clan's younger generation experts would be completely wiped out by a single person. A single person intimidated all the great sections. He really did it. I wonder where he's going. Everyone watched as Su Yin left. Some people wanted to follow and investigate his whereabouts. However, this time, Su Yan's group was too fast. They disappeared without a trace in the blink of an eye. The immortal graveyard was vast. Now, the various clans still hadn't explored its limits. This was the place where millions and millions of geniuses gathered. One could see how grand the immortal graveyard was. There were many dangerous places here. It was extremely difficult to enter and devour all life. There were also experts who rushed in and obtained opportunities. They obtained prehistoric inheritances and thus sank in his silence, absorbing the good fortune in the secret realm. The immortal graveyard was like a huge training ground. The situation was the same as Dragon City. During these days, E.C. Yun and Dragon City's guardian chatted and gradually understood that the immortal graveyard was the final sacred land of the prehistoric immortal star. Once the world was beaten until it collapsed, many orthodoxies moved to the immortal graveyard. Although the universe was sealed back then, the immortal graveyard was an exception. It still preserved the prehistoric environment. Most importantly, the Emperor's Road was in the immortal graveyard. This was shocking. The Emperor's Road that had disappeared for millions of years might appear in the immortal graveyard one day. However, Dragon City's guardian didn't know where the Emperor's Road was. The abyss is ahead. Su Yin and the others spent a few days crossing territories and gradually approached their destination. The world ahead was dark and gloomy. The atmosphere was especially oppressive. It gave off a strong aura of death. It wasn't suitable for cultivation. Dali's eyes were a little red. He couldn't forget what had happened in the past. He and Tensor were chased all the way here by Qiuming. In the end, Tensor fell into the abyss. Yin also fought with Qiuming here. Then she took Dali and escaped with serious injuries. Now, they came to this realm again. Su Yin had already caught the strong aura of death in this area. They began to explore inside. They already saw the end of the world. There was a huge and boundless abyss. This is the abyss. Su Yin was moved. It was like a giant furnace. It was pitch black and emitted waves of devouring people's souls. When Su Yin approached the abyss and looked at it from afar, he seemed to see a huge black space-time tunnel. He didn't know what realm it led to. It was too deep and bottomless. Many experts had explored it before, but none of them came out alive. Even the divine king dispatched by Qiuming back then didn't come out alive after falling into the abyss. Even the divine king seemed insignificant in this huge black abyss. Su Yin opened his heaven and earth eye to observe the abyss. Unfortunately, it couldn't see through anything. There was an extremely terrifying fluctuation of the environment here that deceived people's probing. In this quiet world, Yuan and the others were breathing heavily. They hadn't even reached the abyss yet, but they could already sense the great danger. It was clear how difficult it was to reach the bottom. I'll go down and take a look. You guys wait for me here. Su Yin's body was blazing. His calm essence blood was beginning to recover. His aura was exceptionally powerful and was like a burning sun in the darkness. Even his cosmic weapon had transformed into a pagoda and was floating above Su Yan's head. He could reach the state of being one with his body at any time and erupt with his strongest combat strength to deal with the crisis of the abyss. Hearing this, Yuan frowned and said, "If you want to go, then let's go together. We're already here and really want to see what secrets are hidden in the abyss. With our combined strength, it's not impossible to unearth them." "That's right, big brother. Don't take the risk alone." Dali also nodded and said, "Back then, Brother Tensor wanted to lure Qiuming down, but Qiuming didn't go up alone. He also realized that this abyss shouldn't be entered without permission. If you want to go, then let's go together." Yun's body was glowing. Her snow-white skin was hazy with the power of extreme Yin. A small warship floated above her palm. "Look, this is the supreme treasure that Vice Dean Jean you bestowed to me. It can cross the vast universe and even resist the pressure of the universe without being damaged." Yun activated the warship. The entire body of the warship was silver white. It rapidly enlarged and turned into a huge silver warship. It was steaming with the light of the great Tao and was filled with the power to cross time and space. "All right, let's go." Su Yin didn't persist any longer. The four of them jumped onto the warship. The silver warship glowed. For a short period of time, divine light flourished. The silver splendor was like a river of stars descending. It rumbled as it charged into the abyss. Su Yin was astonished. This warship was very impressive. It should be Vice Dean Jean Yu's beloved supreme treasure. Back when Yun was injured by Qiuming, she had used the silver warship to escape. This thing had special means and was hard to come by even for powerful beings. Boom! However, just as the silver warship charged into the abyss, it suddenly trembled violently. It had encountered a terrifying pressure and was on the verge of disintegrating. What? Yun's eyes widened. How could the pressure of the abyss be so strong? One had to know that the silver warship was forged by Vice Dean Jinyu. Now it was on the verge of collapse. And in a short period of time, the silver warship's surging radiance became even more resplendent. Within the surging silver divine radiance, a vast golden divine might emerged. It outlined a huge formation field that protected the warship. The strongest energy has been activated. Yin frowned and said, "Be careful." Vice Dean Jean Yu once said that the strongest state of the silver warship can only be activated when its power is close to that of a powerful being. Yan's heart was heavy. He was on the warship and had clearly sensed a terrifying power attacking the warship. It wanted to penetrate the warship's defenses. Although the warship had blocked it, Yin and the others felt as if their bodies had declined a little. This made their hearts tremble. This abyss was too strange. It could silently affect their lives. Whoosh! The silver warship traversed the abyss. Its speed was extremely fast, but even with its super-fast speed, it still couldn't reach the end of the abyss. Yin knew very well how far they had traversed in an instant. He was on high alert and maintained his strongest state at all times. Boom! Yin controlled the silver warship with all her strength. It made 9 spatial jumps in a row and had traversed tens of millions of miles. But the abyss was still the abyss. It was pitch black and bottomless. It seemed as if there was no end to it. In the process, the silver warship was a little dim. It had suffered great damage. Yin frowned and said, "Don't worry. We have plenty of time. I want to see how deep this abyss is." The silver warship began to slow down, but it was still very fast. The hull cut through the pitch-black space-time and continued to explore the depths. At this moment, Yin was amazed. There's finally some substance. Yuan and the others heaved a sigh of relief. In the world below, they saw some dilapidated starry seas and broken skies. An ancient cosmic fluctuation emerged. Although it was a dilapidated world, its aura was still magnificent. Could this abyss be an incomplete universe? Yin was moved. If this was the case, then it would be too difficult to explore the entire abyss. However, as the silver warship continued to descend, the dilapidated universe had an astonishing repulsive force. It constantly blocked the silver warship, making it difficult for it to cross. Without a doubt, the environment below was very special. It repelled outsiders. "We can't enter?" Yan's eyes widened. His golden universe eyes shot out light in all directions. He looked into the dilapidated starry sea of the universe, trying to find the correct tunnel. However, his golden universe eyes saw some scenes in the depths. His expression changed, and he stood up. His golden eyes stared into the dilapidated starry sea. There was a magnificent figure that was walking into the abyss. Big Brother. Yin clenched his fists. He saw his prehistoric Big Brother. That figure was as domineering as ever. Even the incomplete universe seemed small in front of him. Chapter 1183. Yin felt a piercing pain in his golden pupils, and he quickly retracted his gaze. Big Brother is indeed Big Brother. With my current realm, I still can't pry into his divine might. Yin clenched his fists tightly, and a smile appeared on his face. He let out a sigh of relief. Since Big Brother Prehistoric had come here before, then the abyss was no longer a land of death. However, when did he come here? Could it be that Big Brother Prehistoric had come to the abyss when the universe's heavenly punishment descended? Could it be that he could turn a blind eye to the rules of the immortal graveyard? Just as Yin was deep in thought, he realized that the silver warship was constantly crashing into the broken starry sea. However, compared to this broken starry sea, the silver warship seemed very small. Yin changed over 100 spatial nodes to crash into, but she was still unable to rush in with the silver warship. The repulsive force of this starry sea was too shocking. "Don't be so busy." Yin walked over and stopped Yin's actions. He said, "This broken starry sea is not so easy to rush in. Give me some time, and I might be able to find a passage to the inside. Then you have to hurry up." Yin frowned and said worriedly, "The abyss itself has a powerful pressure. If we stay here for a long time, the silver warship will be worn down more and more. When that time comes, we will have no choice but to retreat." "I know." Yin nodded. He sat cross-legged in the silver warship and took a deep breath. He said, "Don't disturb me. I will try to use my primordial spirit to explore the broken starry sea." Buzz. Just as he finished speaking, Su Yan's glabella blazed brightly, and a golden primordial spirit rushed out like a golden lightning that tore apart the darkness. His primordial spirit was filled with terrifying soul energy, and it contained a terrifying spiritual deterrence. How could a primordial spirit that had transformed into hell be calculated with common sense? Now, Su Yan's primordial spirit had left his body, and soul light gushed out from his primordial spirit, covering the sky and covering the earth as it surged out, affecting the broken starry sea. Although it only affected a corner of the broken starry sea, Su Yan was still shocked. He felt that he was touching a grand path to heaven. A corner of the broken starry sea was also quite shocking and vast, boundless. What is this place? Su Yan was extremely astonished because he felt that the environment here was even more spectacular than the immortal graveyard. It was difficult to pry into just how majestic the damaged universe was. Su Yan frowned. The immortal graveyard was a prehistoric environment. Could it be that the state of the immortal graveyard is not the strongest environment in prehistory? Su Yan mumbled to himself. Darkness blots out the sun, causing the universe to weaken. Is the strongest universe environment hidden in this abyss? Could this be a prehistoric battlefield? Su Yan muttered in his heart. After all, other than the strongest environment in prehistory, he couldn't think of any other way to explain the immortal graveyard's environment. Su Yan became more and more interested in this place. If he could dig out the secrets of this place, it would be really amazing. After all, the abyss that could attract the prehistoric Big Brother was definitely not an ordinary place. Is Tensor still alive? Su Yan suddenly felt very uncomfortable. In such a strong abyss, Tensor still hadn't stepped into the Divine King's realm. Could he survive? It's still too early to make a conclusion. I have to go in and see what the abyss is. Su Yan was thinking that if Tensor was lucky enough to float down from the abyss and follow this long universe path, he might have floated into the damaged starry sea. Of course, this hope was too small, but it was his brother's only hope for survival. Buzz. Su Yan's spiritual sense awakened and constantly explored the damaged starry sea. With the strength of his primordial spirit, it was difficult to explore a large area. As a result, he spent quite a bit of time. Days passed one after another until 10 days had passed. However, Su Yan still did not find any path that could lead to the depths of the universe. The repulsive force that existed in this broken universe was too shocking. On this day, Yin woke Su Yan up and told him that there wasn't much time left. The silver battleship was getting weaker and weaker. They had to leave and replenish the battleship's losses in the outside world. They had to wait until they were fully prepared before entering again. Let me try. There's still another path. Su Yan stood up, his face full of fatigue. He looked at the damaged starry sea of the universe. He was like a vast blue sea, oppressing people with enough pressure to suffocate them. Buzz. Su Yan's eye of the universe suddenly opened. Since he couldn't find a second path, he could only take the risk of triggering the mark left behind by Big Brother Prehistoric. Su Yan's aura skyrocketed to the extreme. He also operated the eye of the universe to its peak. His eye of the universe shone and spewed out endless divine light, piercing through the damaged starry sea and looking through space-time. Soon, Su Yan's gaze locked onto a majestic figure. He was Big Brother Prehistoric. This wasn't his real body, but a mark left behind by Big Brother Prehistoric. He had come here before and forcefully opened a path. Therefore, he left behind a mark that didn't dissipate for a long time, existing in space-time. Big Brother, Su Yan called out, vibrating with powerful divine soul energy. He wanted to trigger the mark left behind by Big Brother Prehistoric and bring them into the damaged starry sea. However, no matter how hard Su Yan tried, he couldn't trigger the mark left behind by Big Brother Prehistoric. Firstly, his energy couldn't penetrate into the mark. After all, This was only a mark. It couldn't be revived. Secondly, he didn't know when Big Brother Prehistoric had come here. Only heaven knew how powerful this mark was. Even if it was awakened, it might not be able to bring them over. Who are you calling out to? Yuan was stunned. She couldn't help but ask. It can't be our Big Brother taboo, right? Suyin nodded. He suddenly looked at Yuan, hope surging in his heart. Since he couldn't do it, it didn't mean that Yuan couldn't do it. Teacher Yuan, we'll have to rely on you to decide whether we can enter or not. Su Yin said, you went to Mount Savage and obtained the inheritance. You even took the opportunity to step into the Divine King's realm. Do you think the inheritance on Mount Savage has something to do with Big Brother? Su Yin, I've guessed it before. However, Big Brother is a godly person. Moreover, I've only grasped 1/10,000th of the lost techniques on Mount Savage. Yuan exclaimed in her heart. She said, I didn't expect Big Brother Prehistoric to come here. Then I'll give it a try. Let's see if I can trigger the mark left behind by Big Brother with the inheritance of Mount Savage. Yuan's expression was solemn. With the help of Su Yan's Eye of the Universe, she also saw the mark left behind by Big Brother Prehistoric. Boom! All of a sudden, Yuan's aura skyrocketed. His body was very majestic. His bronze skin was filled with masculine courage. His long black hair danced in the air like a waterfall. When his aura recovered to its peak, thousands of martial art patterns appeared on his skin and lined up around his body. When they combined, they directly outlined the vague shadow of the god of war and soared into the sky. Boom! Yuan let out a long roar. The Divine King's fighting strength was at the third sky of the Divine King's realm. His strongest power emerged. Moreover, he was about to merge with the shadow of the god of war and become a supreme almighty. This was Yuan's path. However, it was not perfect yet. There were still many obstacles to overcome. Just as Yuan's aura reached its peak, Yuan and the others trembled. They could clearly feel that the vast broken star sea was trembling violently. What kind of power was this? This was too unbelievable. They couldn't even move a corner of the broken star sea. However, the moment the imprint left behind by the prehistoric Big Brother shone, it was as if a sleeping giant had awakened. It was so majestic that it was extremely difficult to keep up with him. He had revived. It was very terrifying. The vast broken star sea trembled under his pressure and became dim and lightless. Big Brother has really revived. Su Yin was incomparably surprised. The mere imprint he had left behind could revive him and even erupt with such power. In the next moment, Su Yin felt a headache coming. He discovered that the imprint of the prehistoric Big Brother was divine. He looked over and saw them. He seemed to have his own consciousness. Dali was convinced and wanted to prostrate himself in worship. How powerful was his cultivation? A mere imprint could revive on its own. At this moment, Su Yin felt that the prehistoric Big Brother was definitely more tyrannical than the Valley of Chaos Master. Just a single imprint could intimidate the heaven and earth. In the dark abyss, divine light flourished. The broken star sea was rustling and shaking. This imprint could also be called a footprint left behind by the prehistoric Big Brother. It possessed the power to trample the heavens. Let's go, Su Yin roared. The silver warship instantly lit up and pierced through the broken star sea. It rushed in front of the prehistoric Big Brother's imprint. The moment it arrived, the imprint weakened quite a bit. At the same time, the broken star sea suppressed by him lit up and reformed into its original layout. Su Yin and the others turned pale. In an instant, they felt that they were about to die and be crushed into pieces. If not for the imprint left behind by Big Brother, they wouldn't have been able to survive. We can't stay here for long, Yun urged. The imprint is weakening. Let's leave quickly. Su Yin quickly stabilized his mind and opened his heaven and earth eye. Very soon, he found a second imprint left behind by the prehistoric Big Brother. Just like that, they pierced through the broken star sea and rushed into a dilapidated universe. They discovered that the pressure in the universe had decreased sharply. Now, even if they lost the protection of the prehistoric Big Brother's imprint, they would still be able to survive. when they used the prehistoric Big Brother's imprint for the last time to pierce through to the next destination, Su Yin and the others were shocked. That was because they saw corpses all over the ground. It was filled with the killing intent of gods and devils. It was unknown how many experts had died here. The road ahead seemed to be made up of endless piles of corpses. There were all kinds of corpses floating in the sky and on the ground. They had been dead for a long time, but there were still remnants of ferocious aura. It was bone-chilling and wanted to penetrate their souls. Who could sit still in the face of such a scene? If they continued forward, perhaps they would become one of them. This place is even more tragic than the Earth domain. Su Yin clenched his fists and did his best to suppress the shock in his heart. He tried his best to calm himself down. What kind of battle happened here in the past? How could so many experts die here? Even under the pressure of this universe, these corpses can still exist in this world. This is enough to prove how powerful they were when they were alive. Yin was shocked. It was difficult to estimate how many corpses there were in the sky. Su Yin was even more certain that this was a prehistoric battlefield. Boom! At this time, an ancient war banner floating in Su Yan's spatial treasure began to move. Su Yin was astonished. The moment he took it out, the Celestial Emperor's war banner came to life. Boom! The war banner erupted. It emitted an aura that had never appeared before. The banner fluttered and danced, causing the starry sea to rise and fall. This caused Su Yin to lose his composure. What made the Celestial Emperor's war banner go berserk? Chapter 1184. The battle flag Su Yin took out erupted too suddenly, causing the nearby silver battleships to tremble. They were on the verge of shattering along with the fluttering of the flag. Yin hurriedly stored the silver battleship into her spatial treasure. This supreme treasure was hard to come by. If it was destroyed because of this, it would truly be a waste. What kind of treasure is this? Why is it reviving? This was the first time Isi had seen this sex battle flag. It was particularly astonishing and glowed on its own. The flag fluttered in the wind and emitted a supreme aura, as if it was a supreme emperor's aura. Why is the Celestial Emperor's battle flag reviving? Su Yin was astonished. It was reviving, and the process was especially frightening. Had it encountered an enemy? Although Su Yin and the others didn't know what an emperor's might was, it was still quite astonishing. But now, the Celestial Arch War flag was releasing its divine aura on its own. It was like a supreme celestial Thearcha's aura that could suppress everything. During this process, the tattered sea of stars in the universe trembled. All matter began to boil. This momentum was truly terrifying. This battle flag seemed to be waving the entire damaged universe. Just what level is this battle flag at? Yuan and the others were horrified. They had once seen the might of the Celestial Emperor's battle flag evaporate the demonic mist and kill a vicious demon. But now, the Celestial Emperor's battle flag was reviving. It was even stronger than when it resisted the demonic mist. Moreover, there was a vague Emperor's might surging. It was as if an Emperor's weapon was reviving. The aura it emitted caused the entire universe to tremble. Yin was in disbelief. Just how powerful was this weapon? It shook the entire universe. Su Yin and the others had all seen the power of supreme treasures, but they felt that they were somewhat insignificant before the Celestial Emperor's battle flag. It was like an ultimate weapon, a supreme weapon. It flowed with Emperor's might and swept through the entire universe, intimidating the past, present, and future. Buzz! Countless corpses in the world were annihilated on their own and turned into ashes. Su Yin was astonished. What was the Celestial Emperor's battle flag doing? It seemed to be destroying these corpses. Could it be that these corpses were once the enemies of the Celestial Court, and now the Celestial Emperor's battle banner had awakened on its own and was destroying these corpses? However, these people had been dead for a long time. There was no need for the Celestial Emperor's war banner to do such a meaningless thing, right? Boom! A loud bang exploded in this ancient broken universe. Indistinctly, the sound of fighting could be heard. The sound was very far, but it was also very close. Soon after, they found out the source. All of their fine hairs stood on end. They were all shocked. That was because the sound came from the remains of the shattered corpses. Some of the skeletons that were perfectly preserved were actually glowing and moving. They're alive. Yun's face turned pale. These corpses that had been dead for a long time were moving and even making some sounds. This scene was too horrifying. Many corpses shone at the same time, about to revive. Many of the weapon fragments were even burning, releasing their remaining energy as they tried to fly back to their original owner's skeletons. Could these be the dead experts of the Celestial Court, the subordinates of the Celestial Emperor? A thought emerged in Su Yan's mind. He felt that the possibility was very high. These corpses had been dead for a long time, but they had left behind a lingering will. They had been triggered by the Celestial Emperor's war banner, thus creating the illusion that they wanted to revive. These soldiers must have been especially powerful when they were alive. The lingering will they left behind would never be extinguished. Su Yan heard the battle cries. These soldiers wanted to rise again under the command of the Celestial Emperor's war banner and contend for hegemony. What kind of organization was the Celestial Court? What kind of faith did these soldiers have? They had been dead for countless years, but their corpses could still surge with bone-deep faith. Military orders were like mountains. Su Yan's face was full of reverence. Even if these people were enemies, they were still worthy of respect. They had been dead for a long time, but because of the appearance of the war banner, they were glowing. They wanted to revive and climb up to fight. Boom! The Celestial Emperor's war banner shook violently. The huge banner made a rustling sound as dense symbols emerged. It was as if a complete Great Tao was engraved on it. It was extremely brilliant. This terrifying banner seemed to cover the sky full of corpses. Each symbol suppressed the past, present, and future. Vaguely, another scene appeared in this world of corpses and skeletons. Who are they? The tough man of a generation, Li, was so scared that his legs were trembling. This broken sea of stars was completely different now. Everything seemed to have been shattered. The next moment, the scene of an army marching out, gods and demons fighting, and blood staining the heavens appeared. It was hard to imagine how many soldiers and horses there were. As far as the eye could see, they were walking along a path, rampaging in one direction. In the process, the sound of their footsteps was uniform, and the sound of huge waves as they stepped on the great universe. Along the way, they really swept through all directions and suppressed all enemies. This was a prehistoric scene. Now, it was being drawn out by the Celestial Emperor's war banner. This war banner also had a spirit and automatically erupted with a kind of fighting intent. It vaguely resonated with the blurry prehistoric scene. They were definitely very strong. Otherwise, the scene of them passing through wouldn't have remained until now. This meant that their aura back then had left behind an indelible scene in the universe. All kinds of scenes pressured them until they were suffocating. Even the Divine King was trembling from his soul. What secrets are hidden in the abyss? Yuan said in shock. I saw an endless army marching out, charging along the abyss. What are they going to do? Are they going to fight the enemy? On the way, they encountered an obstruction. Some people died in battle, but the corpses left behind had been attracted by the war banner and revived. Yun and the others discussed and speculated that the events that happened here were especially ancient. Although they didn't know the origins of these people, since they were attracted by the Celestial Emperor's war banner in Su Yan's hands, it meant that they were related to the buried region. In that case, this abyss was too important. They had followed a path and killed their way into the depths. There must be a great secret hidden in here. Even the prehistoric Big Brother was here. This matter was even more important. I understand now. Su Yan suddenly roared. His voice gave them a fright. Yun saw Su Yan lose control of his emotions. This surprised her. With Su Yan's state of mind, what made him lose control? Su Yan clenched his fists and tried to suppress the shock in his heart. He said in a low voice, "This is not the abyss at all. This is Emperor Road." "What?" Yuan and the others exclaimed. Their eyes widened. This was the legendary Emperor Road? Their first thought was that this was impossible. Emperor Road had disappeared and no longer existed. But now, Su Yin said that this broken universe was actually Emperor Road. This confused them. Emperor Road was destroyed? No, Emperor Road is not destroyed. Su Yin roared. Following this path will lead us to Emperor Road. This should not be the entrance to Emperor Road. He came to a shocking conclusion. From a scene here and what he saw in the immortal graveyard, Su Yin came to a conclusion. This should be the path that the Celestial Court's army took in the prehistoric era. This path should be Emperor Road. It was just that they had not reached their destination yet. Emperor Road, we found Emperor Road. Yin shouted. If we rush in deeper, we will definitely be able to seize the opportunity. It is said that the strongest creation in history is in Emperor Road. As long as we can find Emperor Road, we will be able to obtain the strongest creation in history. The emotions of Yuan and the others surged. They had truly hit the jackpot. Who would have thought that the Abyss was related to Emperor Road? As long as they could explore deeper, they might really be able to dig out the missing Emperor Road. After all, Emperor Road had been silent for 1,000,000 years. If it was occupied by Su Yin and the others, it would be a great opportunity. If it was in the past, they would not be able to do it. They would not even be able to explore the Abyss. However, the prehistoric Big Brother had been here and even left a mark here. Su Yin guessed that these marks had been here for about 10 years. Therefore, he was sure that the prehistoric Big Brother had already entered when Su Yin first opened the immortal graveyard. He was shocked. In terms of time, the Big Brother had entered the Abyss in an instant and left a mark here. He could ignore the immortal graveyard and enter the Abyss immediately. Therefore, Su Yin came to a shocking conclusion. This must be Emperor Road. Let's go. Su Yin's breathing was heavy as he quickly explored the Abyss. They followed the prehistoric Big Brother's footwork and walked step by step into the Abyss. Along the way, Yuan gained a lot. He kept blending with the prehistoric Big Brother's footwork. His aura was changing and even resembled his Big Brother's divine might. Yuan was very excited. This was his opportunity. Blending with the footwork mark again and again made Yuan's aura more terrifying. Moreover, the inheritance he had obtained in the Savage Mountain had also been refined. He had even gained a new understanding of the orthodoxy. If I can understand a little of the prehistoric Big Brother's divine might, I'll be very close to becoming a supreme being. Yuan laughed. They had already taken almost 10,000 steps. Yuan's transformation was too shocking. The martial path in his body was being perfected and surging with the divine might of a king. Su Yin was moved. Yuan had obtained the prehistoric Big Brother's true inheritance. Do you guys smell something? At this moment, Isi whispered. Her eyes were sparkling and translucent. Her nose twitched as she caught a whiff of a faint fragrance. Su Yin and the others were confused. They did not smell anything. However, women had always had a keen sense of smell. Yin was half convinced and half doubtful as she walked in the direction of the medicinal fragrance. Although there was a strong pressure in the Abyss, it was not a problem to walk in a small area. At this time, Su Yin and the others were moved. They had also smelled a strange fragrance. Could there be a medicinal herb here? Su Yin and the others were moved. As they walked over and saw the source, the group was almost petrified. In the pitch-black universe, the aura of death was thick. However, in the direction of the source, there were tens of thousands of strands of auspicious light. It was dazzling and filled with a divine aura. They saw a creature born from fire. Although it was only the size of a fist, it emitted a dazzling, immortal glow. True Phoenix, Su Yin cried out in surprise. He saw a true phoenix roaming in the dark universe. It was too bright and even hotter than the sun. It was so bright that they could barely open their eyes. A terrifying tide of life surged in their bodies. Chapter 1185. Dark Universe, Broken Sea of Stars. This was a land of death and ruin, but now that they had captured the fluctuations of life, it was as if they had seen the light of dawn. They felt that they had arrived at their destination and might even see the road to becoming an emperor. But now, Su Yin and the others had crossed through the starry skies and arrived at their destination. What they saw was a true phoenix. They couldn't help but be shocked. Although they had never seen a true phoenix before, they were sure that this was a small true phoenix. This was a supreme being on the same level as a true dragon. Although it was only the size of a fist, a vast tide of life surged within its body. It illuminated the dark universe, causing this cold and dead universe to be filled with the warmth of life. Here, auspicious clouds were like a sea. It was like a land of immortals and immortals. A legendary immortal spirit spread its wings and soared. Suyan's chest violently rose and fell. It was hard to imagine that such a small true phoenix could actually emit such a vast life force. It covered the vast world, forming a scene where the aura of life blotted out the sun. However, he was also shocked. This was because this true phoenix was suffused with a medicinal fragrance, its fragrance assailing his nostrils. As the medicinal fragrance entered his body, Suyan's body began to glow. His flesh and blood began to burn as energy surged within him. This was because the medicinal fragrance contained some energy that stimulated Suyan's combat strength. He felt as if he was growing in defiance of the heavens. A stalk of medicine. Suyan sucked in a breath of cold air. Could it be a stalk of medicine? In truth, after cultivating to Suyan's level, divine medicines weren't particularly valuable to him. But this stalk of medicine was particularly astonishing. Just by smelling the medicinal fragrance, he felt as if his combat strength had been completely awakened under the stimulation of energy. What kind of medicine was this? Could it have surpassed the category of divine medicines? In short, Suyan's mouth was dry. This was a great opportunity that he had to grasp. Although they couldn't use it now, if they could obtain it, then this stock of medicine would be of great help to them in the future. It's discovered us and wants to escape. Suyan's aura suddenly changed. Because of their arrival, the true phoenix had also noticed Suyan's group. This true phoenix seemed to have been frightened. Its little wings fluttered about, flowing with multicolored light. It wanted to escape. This true phoenix creature that was suspected to be a terrifying ancient medicine, if it truly began to escape, it would be extremely difficult for them to dig it out from this vast cosmos. Boom! However, Suyan's speed was even faster. In an instant, he charged over. In the process, the dormant cosmic energy in his body erupted, covering a distance of 1,000,000 li. He directly activated his strongest state and even used the skills of the grandmasters of the occult arts. He sealed the sky and the earth, forcibly suppressing this space and time, sealing off the escape route of the true phoenix. Suyan's palm also reached out to grab it. However, just as his palm was about to touch the fist-sized true phoenix, the true phoenix instantly blazed brightly and an immortal substance surged out. It was actually terrifying and monstrous. Could it be the legendary immortal medicine? Yin was shocked. Her bright red lips were wide open. There were legendary immortal medicines in this world that surpassed the category of divine medicines. This type of medicine was hard to find throughout the world. Immortal medicines, even taboo medicines, were extremely difficult to grasp. According to the Tao Palace's ancient records, the universe's millions and millions of years of essence might be able to nurture a complete stock of immortal medicine. From this, one could see just how difficult it was to nurture immortal medicines. This was a priceless, supreme, immortal treasure that was hard to find throughout the world. It only existed in legends. Now, the true phoenix scattered down immortal essence, making Yin feel that this was an immortal medicine. Yuan and Ali were both very excited. They had absorbed some of the eternal immortal essence that had fallen down, and their bodies were bursting with power. The blood essence in their bodies had also become much stronger, and it was as if they had eaten a great tonic. This was really freakish. Suyan's eyes were red. However, just as he was about to grab the true phoenix immortal medicine, his palm was blocked by immortal power. There was even an astonishing recoil that almost sent him flying. Oh! In the next moment, the true phoenix revived. It spread its wings, tearing open countless great void cracks. It fled in panic, escaping into the void cracks and quickly fleeing into the distance. Not good. Su Yan's aura went berserk as he roared. Quick, chase it. This immortal medicine is hard to find throughout the world. It might be related to the taboo. Yuan's heart thumped, and the blood in his body flowed in reverse. They lost control of their emotions and chased after it frantically, rushing along the great void cracks. Although they could not confirm whether this was an immortal medicine, the true phoenix shook off Su Yan's palm, almost injuring his flesh shell. It could be seen just how terrifying it was. Even someone as strong as Su Yan's body, which had been baptized by dragon essence in the City of Dragons, was almost at the level of a supreme being. Yet, even he could not withstand the true phoenix's power. It was hard to imagine just how strong it was. However, no matter how strong it was still a stock of medicine. Moreover, Su Yan did not kill it earlier because he was afraid that he would destroy this stock of medicine. However, he did not expect that this stock of medicine would be so abnormal that it could shake off his palm. Swish, swish. The four great experts rushed up madly in pursuit of the true phoenix. It had to be said that its speed was too fast, crossing along the great void cracks. Su Yan used all his strength to cross frantically. He was so tired that he was about to spit out blood. However, it was still extremely difficult for him to catch up to this true phoenix. How can it be so fast? Su Yan roared uncontrollably. After crossing dozens of times, he was so tired that his body was sweating. However, he could not catch up to the true phoenix, and it had even left him far behind. He could not lock onto the true phoenix's tracks. Chirp, chirp. This true phoenix was as blazing as the sun. It was only the size of a fist, and its feathers were bright. It flowed with immortal multicolored light, blazing and surging like a divine lamp in the darkness. It was especially eye-catching. It also possessed a high enough spirituality. When it sensed that Su Yan and the others could not catch up to it, the true phoenix slowed down. It screeched at Su Yan and the others, emitting a clear and melodious phoenix cry. Moreover, it waved its little wings, pointing at Su Yan and the others. It chirped continuously, as if mocking them for being too slow. This little being is mocking us. Till he was so angry his nose became crooked. The true phoenix was currently pointing at them and mocking them. Its appearance was especially delightful. It even stuck out its butt at them, continuously mocking them. This was intolerable. Su Yan's face darkened. He suddenly crossed over, his body rippling with blazing cosmic radiance. In that instant, he was like an enormous dragon crossing the sky, causing even the starry skies to tremble. This was a terrifying eruption of divine might. The pressure could topple mountains and overturn seas. It blasted towards the true phoenix to forcefully suppress it. It was clear that this true phoenix was extremely cowardly. It was so scared that it began to tremble. Its bright and beautiful feathers all stood on end. It immediately rushed forward, exploding in the darkness of the void. It did not even look back as it fled. Su Yan was truly at his wit's end. They could not catch up to this true phoenix at all. It did not matter whether it was an immortal medicine or not. If they could not catch up, they were destined to have no fate with creation. Half a day had passed. Su Yan and the others had completely lost track of the true phoenix. The four of them stared at each other, not knowing what to say. In the end, like a deflated balloon, Su Yan scratched his head, his expression extremely awkward. He was the great Su Xianren, unrivaled among his peers. Now, he could not do anything about an immortal medicine of the true phoenix. If word got out, they would most likely laugh their heads off. After all, it was just a medicine. You shouldn't have attacked just now. You should have had a good talk with it. Perhaps you could have made friends. Isi Yun was distressed and expressed her opinion. Speaking in hindsight, Su Yan rolled his eyes. Who knew that this true phoenix would be so fast? He reckoned that even if a mighty being came, he would most likely have no hope of capturing it alive. Unless a supreme mighty being came, only then would there be a chance of capturing the immortal medicine. What did you say? Isi Yan widened her eyes and stared straight at Su Yan. Traces of embarrassment and anger appeared on her beautiful cheeks. Her voluptuous chest rose and fell violently. She was indignant. Suyin was just about to respond when he froze and looked into the distance. This was because they had discovered that the true phoenix was standing on a broken star in the distant void. It stuck its head out and looked at Su Yin and the others. The embarrassment and anger on E.C. Yun's face immediately dissipated, replaced by a gentle smile. It was very sweet and touching. She smiled at the true phoenix and said, "Little thing, come quickly. Big sister has delicious food here." As she spoke, E.C. Yin took out some medicinal herbs. They were all very expensive. She hoped that the true phoenix would like these food. E.C. Yin thought that this little thing must have not eaten delicious food for many years in the dead universe. Seeing these dozens of excellent medicinal herbs placed in the void, the true phoenix drooled. The true phoenix's saliva was dripping down like a greedy little cat. Its eyes were fixed on the medicinal herbs that E.C. had taken out. This scene made E.C. Yin smile even more sweetly. She waved at the true phoenix. However, the true phoenix wiped away its saliva. Its little eyes flashed with a human-like expression. It glanced sideways at E.C. Yin, as if it was despising her for being too low-end. It even stuck out its butt at her and laughed at her. Billy scratched his head. This little thing really became a demon. E.C. Yin was so angry that her whole body trembled. Su Yin could not help but laugh. Acting in hindsight, "Bastard, stop right there." E.C. Yin bared her fangs and brandished her claws. Her beautiful body was surrounded by the holy power of Tying. She was not done with Su Yin. Su Yin, on the other hand, turned into a bolt of lightning and charged straight at the true phoenix. Using all his strength, he crossed the void and went straight to where the true phoenix was. The true phoenix was quick-witted and fled far away in an instant. "It seems to be purposely attracting us." Yuan frowned. Although the true phoenix had escaped, its speed had slowed down. It seemed to be purposely luring them away. Nothing ventured, nothing gained. This dead universe is so big. If we explore it all the way, who knows how long it will take to finish searching. Since this little thing lives here, it means that there should be a source of life in this dead universe. Su Yin said. Although the road ahead was full of unknown dangers, since they were already here, there was no turning back. If they retreated now, they would regret it for the rest of their lives. Just like that, they chased after each other. Almost a day had passed. When they arrived at this place, Su Yan's expression changed slightly. Something was not right here. In this boundless, broken universe, he caught an imperceptible aura of life. Could this be the bottom of the abyss? There's still some environments that can survive. They had even come to the bottom of the abyss and were about to come into contact with the legendary Emperor Road. It disappeared. It ran very quickly. What is it trying to do by purposely luring us here? Yuan was cautious. Su Yin opened his eyes of the universe and looked at this place. It was also a broken universe sky, but there was an aura of life spreading out from the depths. They explored carefully, not daring to be careless. During their journey, the true phoenix did not appear again. This made Su Yin and the others puzzled. When they explored the depths, Yuan whispered, "Big brother has been here before. I caught his aura. His imprint is in the depths, but it is very weak. Compared to the imprints outside, this imprint is about to dissipate. Let's go and take a look. Maybe the entrance to the Emperor Road is really up ahead." Su Yin and the others rushed forward in an instant, following Yuan's senses and searching along the way. However, when they were about to reach their destination, the Four King Tier's heartbeats accelerated. Su Yin felt that he was being watched by a terrifying creature, and a chill ran down his spine. This made Su Yin tremble. What kind of creature was lurking in the dark? They had not even started fighting, and they were already terrified? That little being lured us here. Could it be that he wants to let the monsters here attack us? Dili whispered. Seeing that Su Yin was using his heaven's eye to search, he did not say anything to disturb him. Su Yan's eyes of the universe were pushed to the limit. His pupils turned golden, containing the Tao of heaven and earth. He searched inch by inch. He did not believe that this creature could escape from his heaven's eye. Soon, Su Yan's golden heaven's eye opened wide. He caught a familiar figure in the void. Tensor. Su Yin was pleasantly surprised. He even walked out from the void. His tall and sturdy figure stood in the void. However, his expression was ice cold, and there was a cruel smile on his face. He used his cold eyes to stare at Su Yin and his group. Chapter 1186. Ha ha! Brother Tensor, I knew you wouldn't die. You're really tough. Dali was especially excited. He almost walked up to Tensor and gave him a bear hug. However, as he walked, Dali was stunned. This was because Tensor didn't seem right at this moment. It was as if he had turned into another person, a cold-blooded animal. The scene fell silent. Yuan and the rest frowned. They were all too familiar with Tensor. They were all brothers who would die for him. However, Tensor's expression was cold. When he saw Su Yin and the rest, he didn't have the joy of reuniting with his brothers. Tensor. Su Yin clenched his fists. His golden pupils stared at Tensor. He couldn't see through this person. It didn't seem like he was pretending. He seemed to be Tensor. Moreover, his mental state had changed too much compared to before. Could it be that the encounter in the abyss had caused some shocking changes in Tensor? However, Su Yin instinctively felt that this person wasn't his brother, but someone else. A mysterious person who could deceive his eyes of the universe was definitely not to be underestimated. Could this be a creature from the abyss? Brother, what's wrong with you? Dali asked in a low voice. Tensor, I'm Yuan. Don't you recognize me? Yuan asked with a frown. From the moment he appeared until now, he had been silent. Only a pair of sinister eyes stared at Yuan and the rest. One by one, he began to size them up with a scrutinizing gaze. This gaze made Yuan very uncomfortable. The other party looked at them as if they were prey. He doesn't seem to be Tensor, Su Yin said in a low voice. Brother Yuan is an infinite body, but he doesn't seem to be one. A tinge of nervousness instantly spread through the place. If he wasn't Tensor, but someone else, could it be that Tensor had already fallen? Impossible, Dali growled, feeling extremely uncomfortable. Clenching his fists, Dali stared at this person and growled. Who are you? Say something. This cold-blooded man didn't say anything. When his gaze was fixed on Su Yin, his pupils constricted. His eyes turned blood-red and shot out two blood-red beams of cold light. His entire body was faintly suffused with strands of terrifying blood light. At this moment, this broken universe was trembling, and it seemed as if it was about to prostrate under his feet. Dali and the others' faces were ashen. He really wasn't Tensor. Even if he had changed his state of mind, his human nature wouldn't change. As for this person's aura, it was completely different from Tensor's. It was filled with brutality. Who the hell are you? Su Yin shouted angrily. Why did he transform into Tensor's appearance? Could it be that Tensor had encountered him before? A person who shouldn't have survived has survived. His blood-red pupils stared at Su Yin, and there was a trace of cruelty on his face. His words were very ancient, but they contained a terrifying will of the great Tao that they could understand. Yin was a little confused. Could it be that he knew Su Yin? She knew that Su Yin was an orphan without parents. Could it be that this person knew his background? This mysterious existence seemed to have really recognized Su Yin and seen through him. He let out a sinister laugh. Perhaps this is a gift from the heavens to me after being trapped for so long. In an instant, he erupted. He didn't give Su Yin any time to ask questions and directly attacked. He opened up a large hand that was steaming with bloody light. It covered the sky and covered the earth as it attacked. He wanted to capture Su Yin alive. Dali and the others rushed up to join forces with Su Yin to resist this mysterious expert. All of you back off. Su Yin let out a low roar. He didn't want Dali and the others to interfere. First of all, this person was very dangerous, and secondly, he wanted to suppress this person. Boom! His palm struck out and annihilated everything. It was full of indestructible power and was about to suppress a corner of the universe. This kind of power could really push down all divine king realm experts. But how could Su Yin be a simple divine king? His aura erupted, and his ferocious aura filled the air. Dom! He waved his fist and smashed it forward. This fist was heavy and ferocious like a giant star smashing down. The moment the fist and palm collided, Yun and the others turned pale. They really felt as if two comets had collided. It was full of extreme power and distorted time and space. It was abnormally tyrannical. Boom! A loud explosion rang out, accompanied by splashes of blood. It was an extremely cruel scene. Suyan's fist was cracked. This mysterious expert's palm was like an immortal divine iron. A single slap was enough to destroy everything. Suyan's fist was torn apart and blood was spilling out. So much so that a terrifying force attacked Su Yan's body and forced him to retreat several steps. The blood and qi in his body were surging. Big brother. Li turned pale. He was Su Xianren, who was unrivaled in his generation. He was known to be invincible in the Divine King realm and had been baptized by the Dragon Essence in Dragon City. His physical body was at its peak, but now he was injured in a single exchange. Even his indestructible fist was cracked and his whole body was trembling. As expected, your physical body seedling is very astonishing. This humanoid creature full of cruel aura looked at Su Yin as if he was observing a treasure. He said coldly, "Your potential is very strong. I'm afraid your ultimate potential is about to be unlocked. Unfortunately, you met me. This is the perfect gift from the heavens. People can't ask for it even if they want it." There was greed in his eyes. He took a fancy to Su Yan's physical body and said eerily, "You're much stronger than that trash I met before. You killed Tensor." Su Yan's eyes surged with flames of fury. His shattered fist was healing on its own. This was the great benefit of being baptized by the Dragon Essence. It allowed Su Yin to possess an abnormal recovery ability. Just a piece of trash, not worth mentioning. He opened his mouth. His words were cold and full of disdain. Then he stared at Su Yin and said, "You, on the other hand, I've been trapped here for millions of years. I never thought I would encounter such a great opportunity." Yuan and the others felt a headache coming on. Could it be that this was a taboo creature? It had lived here for a very long time. This was an old monster. "You're neither a human nor a ghost." Su Yin roared angrily. His long black hair fluttered in the wind as his aura completely erupted. In an instant, he entered a state where his body was like a universe. A supreme divine king's essence surged out and shook the heavens and the earth. He saw Su Yin as a creation and a treasure. It was even possible that Tensor would be killed by him. Su Yan's blood boiled with anger. In an instant, he pounced forward and took out his universe weapon. It transformed into a sky piercer and slashed fiercely. Whoosh! This humanoid creature stood in the void and directly raised his thick arm. His entire arm seemed to be made of immortal divine iron. Under the shocked gazes of Yuan and the others, he used his arm to block Su Yan's sky piercer. A loud sound erupted once again. The outcome was truly despairing. His arm was invincible. It blocked Su Yan's sky piercer. Even the terrifying power surging from his arm followed the sky piercer and attacked Su Yan's body. Su Yan coughed out a big mouthful of blood. His body staggered, and he couldn't even hold his universe weapon steadily. "You can still stand after taking 2 consecutive attacks from me." However, this humanoid creature was somewhat surprised. His expression became even more pleasantly surprised. He said, "Your physical body is indeed powerful. If I can perfectly fuse with it, I'll definitely be able to cultivate beyond the legendary domain." This was definitely a terrifying existence that surpassed the Divine King realm. Now, he wanted to seize Su Yan's physical body. Su Yan's aura was somewhat declining. This humanoid creature's energy was extremely sinister and evil. It even wanted to extinguish Su Yan's vigorous source of life. Just as Luo De Li and the others were about to rush over, Su Yan transmitted his voice to them not to come over. In the face of this monster, numbers were useless. Moreover, Su Yan hadn't completely lost yet. Buzz! At this moment, the humanoid creature rushed over. He raised his large hand and slammed it down in an earth-shattering manner. He wanted to suppress Su Yan directly. This palm was extremely terrifying. It crushed the void and was about to collapse 100,000 miles. It was simply enough to kill a true dragon with a single slap. When this palm was infinitely close to Su Yin, his eyes blazed brightly and lightning surged out. Moreover, his entire body seemed to have transformed into a concentrated bolt of lightning from the heavens, erupting with a monstrous lightning glow. Su Yin shot out bolts of lightning from the heavens. One after another, they were filled with the most domineering power. No less than 10 million bolts of lightning flooded the heaven and earth as they struck towards a humanoid creature. Boom! Based on the humanoid creature's strength, the bombardment of 10 million bolts of lightning was truly difficult to shake his physical body. However, a strange change occurred. This humanoid creature was afraid of yang substances. He let out a sinister roar in the face of the bombardment of lightning. His physical body trembled violently from the bombardment. "I hate this kind of energy." He was also infuriated. With a loud roar, the lightning in the sky collapsed. Moreover, he reached out with his palm and hacked viciously at Su Yin, preventing him from releasing the heavenly lightning. "Suppress!" Su Yin let out an angry roar. His palms were entwined with lightning. Endless bolts of lightning gushed out and rushed towards the humanoid creature. This part of the starry sky was destroyed. Boundless lightning filled the sky and surged with bloody light. Su Yin was restrained by the might of the lightning. At the same time, this humanoid creature was too powerful and continuously sent him flying. If not for his abnormal recovery ability, his battle prowess would have been greatly reduced. Although the lightning can suppress him, it's extremely difficult to harm his foundation. Dali and the others were about to lose control. No matter what, if they really couldn't kill him, they would just retreat. Who knew if this old monster who had lived for countless years had other tricks up his sleeve, or if he had accomplices? How many times can you withstand my power? Even if I'm at my weakest, it's still enough to crush you. The humanoid creature rushed over once again. Although he was afraid of the lightning, he still wanted to capture Su Yin alive and occupy his physical body. "I don't believe I can't suppress you." Su Yin let out an angry roar. His blood-stained physical body charged over. The Grade 7 Genesis brush erupted with power, drawing upon the starry sea of the universe and drawing upon the power of the heaven and earth to swarm towards the humanoid creature. During this process, Su Yin once again erupted with heavenly lightning. However, to Su Yan's surprise, the humanoid creature was somewhat panicked when the heavenly and earth powers intertwined. He was afraid of the energy of this part of the universe. An old monster that has been trapped here for tens of millions of years, unable to leave. He fears this universe, and the universe is restraining him. Su Yan's aura skyrocketed in an instant. With a rumble, he rushed over. Moreover, he drew upon the power of the universe to suppress downwards. With just a single exchange, it was as if he was crushed by 5 giant mountains. The humanoid creature released a miserable roar. His body was changing, revealing his true body. He was full of a terrifying power of time. What was even more unbelievable was that his body was badly mutilated. Only a small amount of flesh and blood covered his body. There was a huge bloody hole in his chest that almost covered his entire body. "You're the trash," Su Yin coldly shouted. "Looks like you encountered Big Brother and were almost trampled to death by him. You barely managed to survive. Anyone who sees my true body will die." The ruined creature roared, as if he was an ancient vicious demon. His ruined body actually surged with strands of terrifying, undying matter. Chapter 1187. A supreme pressure was born, covering the damaged cosmos sea of stars, making this world tremble. Taboo. Yuan and the others turned pale with fright. This was a taboo. Even though it was in a damaged state, it was still a taboo. His damaged body surged with undying fluctuations. In front of this grand energy, they seemed especially insignificant. This legendary creature was powerful to an inconceivable degree. Even though Su Yin had interacted with the prehistoric Big Brother for a period of time, he only had a vague idea of what a taboo was. As for how powerful this domain was, it was still unknown. However, it was hard to imagine that they would encounter a taboo creature. This was even an old monster that had been trapped in the abyss for an endless amount of time. Even though it had been seriously injured by the Big Brother, its body badly damaged beyond recognition. However, when this taboo creature ignited its undying light, the cosmos' starry sky that Su Yin had stirred up exploded. A terrifying energy fluctuation swept through all directions, giving rise to a star field explosion. Pu, E.C. Yun and the others were all sent flying. Even the Divine King's body couldn't bear it, releasing a cry of pain. This was the power of a taboo creature. Even though it was weak, it possessed great destructive power. Even someone as powerful as Su Yin was in this state. This type of divine might was too tyrannical, grand, and unfathomable. He couldn't block it at all, and the injuries he suffered were the most shocking. His entire body was about to be beaten to a pulp. It's actually a taboo creature. Su Yin's entire body was bleeding. He released a low roar, his eyes filled with determination. If they couldn't stop him, they would all fall under this taboo creature's hands. Those who see my true body will all die. The damaged taboo creature roared. He was originally a supreme creature, but who would dare imagine this? Back then, he was almost trampled to death by the prehistoric Big Brother. If not for him grasping a special secret technique to deceive the Big Brother's perception and fake his death, he wouldn't have been able to survive. In that case, it was impossible for him to continue living. He would definitely be killed by Big Brother, and his soul would scatter. Even though he was the weakest taboo creature right now, he was burning what little remained of his undying energy. A vicious demon covered the sky, glaring angrily at Su Yin. Moreover, his entire body rushed over. Killing you 10 times isn't enough to satisfy my hatred. His eyes were filled with hatred. He wanted to extract Su Yan's soul from his body and use the cruelest methods to torture him. He also did not expect that Su Yin and the prehistoric Big Brother knew each other. Although he could not seek revenge on his Big Brother, it was too easy to deal with a Su Yin who had not yet grown up. Boom! Immortal energy rushed over, tearing apart everything. It was enough to shatter a supreme being. However, in the face of such danger, Su Yin wasn't afraid at all. He stood tall between heaven and earth and stared at this crazy demon. He coldly shouted, "You don't dare to face my Big Brother and want to vent your anger on me? I think you're thinking too much." Who? Su Yin moved. His speed was not very fast. His hands streaked across the sky as if he was doing Tai Chi. His left hand was blazing like a deep abyss, while his right hand was heavy like a true dragon. His two palms represented heaven and earth, representing the vault of heaven and earth. His two palms also seemed to bear the weight of the sun and moon. His two large hands streaked across the sky, and a huge Great Tao diagram was born. It was like a boundless Tai Chi diagram, yin and yang interweaved, filled with destruction and new life. The universe's origins killed, and the universe's origins nourished the body. Su Yin had experienced the life and death of the universe. Now his strange techniques were refined to the extreme, and there was a sign of breaking through the limits and penetrating the 8th grade Grandmaster realm. Unfortunately, Su Yin lacked the corresponding inherent scriptures. But now that he had erupted, his aura was terrifying enough. His body was like a heavenly pillar, and his hands grasped yin and yang. 9 mystic escape techniques, divine shield. He roared towards the sky. The Genesis brush floated in his palm. The moment his hands joined together, the grade 7 Genesis brush erupted with great Tao runes that penetrated the heavens and earth. In an instant, the vast heaven and earth moved violently. This dead universe seemed to have been revived, turning into a cosmic millstone. It rumbled and rotated, outlining an even more terrifying momentum of heaven and earth. It felt as if it penetrated the universe's origins. If he could really control the universe's origins, this would be an earth-shattering technique that could suppress supreme beings. It was still a little difficult for Su Yin now, unless he could cultivate to the peak of the 8th grade. But for the incomplete taboo that was afraid of the universe's power strangled it, making it furious. In the past, it was not afraid, but now its body was heavily injured, and it had been trapped by this universe for a long time. This was because the universe's energy was very harmful to it. Now that the universe's power was surging down, the incomplete taboo creature roared. The immortal power gushing out of its flesh shell increased by a lot, and it even began to burning the vast starry sky into a huge black hole. Not good, Yuan growled. It wants to destroy everything with you. After all, the old monster wants to take over your body. Su Yin frowned slightly. That's right, the incomplete taboo creature wanted to take over Su Yan's body. Therefore, it could not care less about its own incomplete body. It wanted to suppress Su Yin and obtain his body even if it had to collapse. In fact, it was very sad for a taboo creature to fight to such an extent. After all, it was a supreme taboo creature in the legends. It had been trapped here for a long time, and its incomplete body could not withstand the universe's cruel suppression. Therefore, it could only release a limited amount of immortal power, bombarding this universe's starry sky with countless holes and endless cracks. There was no doubt that Su Yan's mystic escape technique had been forcefully blasted apart by it. Evil creature, it's time for you to die. The whole world was released with immortal light. This energy was unstoppable. Anyone who touched it would die. Su Yan smiled bitterly. He could not block the incomplete taboo's methods. Moreover, this old demon had gone completely crazy. It kept releasing immortal power and filled this universe. The incomplete body sneered. I'm about to obtain a new body. I don't need this body. If one looked closely, they would notice that the incomplete taboo's body was constantly being destroyed and decaying. This was the universe suppressing it and destroying it. However, it was impossible in a short period of time. Therefore, they could use this time to suppress Su Yin and the others. Let's go, Su Yin growled. If they did not leave now, it would be too late. They had many boundary-breaking talismans and could return with the fastest speed. As long as they could reach the place where the prehistoric Big Brother left his mark, they could definitely suppress this incomplete taboo. I think we can stay, Yuan suddenly said in surprise. The mark left by Big Brother is awakening. It should be this old monster's power that has shocked Big Brother's mark. As soon as he finished speaking, he could clearly sense that in the depths of this region, there were waves that caused the starry sky to tremble. Boom! Suddenly, in the depths of this universe, a figure suddenly stood up. It could be said that it appeared from the void. Although the figure looked blurry, the aura that filled the air was too majestic. The incomplete taboo's expression changed. How could this be? Boom! In the depths of the universe, a loud explosion sounded. This scene stunned Su Yin and the others. Su Yin saw a huge footprint imprinted in the void. It did not dissipate for a long time. It had existed for a long time. And under the huge footprint, there were some blood and broken bones that had not dried up. Without a doubt, this was the blood and broken bones of a taboo creature. This was also the place where the incomplete taboo was heavily injured back then. Now, the footprint left by the prehistoric Big Brother revived on its own. Billions of patterns surged and soon outlined a blurry figure. Accompanied by a majestic aura, it seemed to have shrouded the entire abyss. Why are you still here? The incomplete taboo trembled. He felt despair towards this person. Even he had to submit under the feet of the prehistoric Big Brother. Is this Big Brother's combat strength? Su Yin and the others were petrified. This was too frightening. His aura seemed to have filled the entire abyss. This was the might of the world's sole ruler. In this world, as long as he was here, all matter would lose its luster. No! The incomplete taboo howled in grief. How could he revive? It was clearly just an imprint, a divine ability that was casually left behind. Could it be that he had already entered the legendary realm? How could there be such an existence in this world? Didn't they all leave back then and head to the final destination? But no matter how loud his roar was, he could not live. This foot imprint crossed over, traversing a vast expanse of space and arriving in an instant. At this moment, Su Yin felt that the universe had disappeared and was replaced by the imprint of this foot. It was a scene that made one despair. This foot covered the sky and earth, covering the entire firmament. The moment it descended from the sky, all living beings were like ants. This foot was powerful beyond compare. It directly stepped on the incomplete taboo's body. Bam! The incomplete taboo collapsed directly, exploding into a cloud of bloodlight. He did not even have the chance to make a sound before his body and soul were destroyed. As for this footprint, it also dissipated in a blur. This was the energy left behind by the prehistoric Big Brother. Now that it was activated, it destroyed the incomplete taboo. Dead. The taboo was obliterated just like that. Just how strong is Big Brother? Su Yin and the others took a deep breath. The incomplete taboo was trampled to death by the prehistoric Big Brother. Then just how strong was the prehistoric Big Brother? It was really hard for them to understand, but they understood one thing, and that was that there were strong and weak taboos. Prehistoric Big Brother was a well-deserved legend and myth. His world was not something that Su Yin and the others could understand. Boom! The incomplete taboo's body exploded. Drops of blood sprinkled down. This blood was extremely terrifying. It crushed the sea of stars, and many stars exploded. This was a taboo expert. A drop of blood could destroy an entire sea of stars. Now, this taboo existence withered away, his ruined body scattering out undying essence blood, scattering everywhere. Just as Su Yin and the others were in a daze, recalling the invincible might of the prehistoric Big Brother. A sneaky little true phoenix suddenly ran out, flapping its wings, reaching out its little claws, and stealing drops of immortal essence blood. This little being, Dudley immediately jumped up and said angrily, "He's stealing the immortal essence blood. This is forbidden blood, a legendary immortal essence." Su Yin and the others were instantly envious. In that moment of carelessness, it had already stolen more than half of the incomplete forbidden blood essence. Chapter 1188. This tattered starry sky was in chaos. Su Yin and the others were fighting over the immortal Tao substance with a little true phoenix. This little being mustered up its courage. In the process of stealing the immortal Tao substance, it began to drool. It had to be said that its saliva carried a medicinal fragrance, the fragrance assailing their nostrils. If it really was the saliva of an immortal medicine, then it definitely contained an astonishing medicinal fragrance. Dudley cursed while collecting the little bean's saliva behind its butt. Droplets of immortal medicine saliva were sparkling and resplendent, containing an indescribable substance. It was like a type of immortal Tao energy, possessing extremely powerful medicinal properties. This little bean felt a wave of disdain. It seemed to have also realized the importance of its own saliva. It was so angry its cheeks were puffed up, doing its best to control its saliva, not letting it flow out. It was still fighting over the immortal Tao substance from the tiger's mouth. Su Yin and the others were momentarily at a loss, unable to catch the little bean at all. This made them especially vexed. What was this little thing doing? It couldn't even suppress a stock of medicine, and was even fighting over the spoils of war with them. Li was even shamelessly collecting its saliva. What the fuck? This was too shameful. Li was a rough man, not feeling much about this. He felt that the saliva was full of medicinal properties, laughing foolishly. "You little thing, don't fight over it." Seeing a large amount of immortal Tao substance fall into the little bean's pockets, Su Yin was so angry he shouted loudly, raising his large hand to grab the little bean. At the same time, E.C. Yun and the others rushed over, wanting to stop the little bean. Even if they couldn't obtain the immortal medicine, with the little bean's understanding of the tattered universe, it could definitely lead them to the legendary Emperor Road. Chirp, chirp. The little bean screeched, dancing about in the void. It was fleeing. After obtaining such great benefits, if it didn't leave now, there might be trouble. I really am suspicious. How could it be an immortal medicine? It can't be a true phoenix creature, right? Yuan laughed bitterly. This little thing's movements were too fast, difficult for them to chase after. Yun smiled bitterly. Who knew what form this little thing was in? Actually, I don't want to hurt it. I just wanted to tell us what happened here, but this little guy doesn't want to communicate with us. Yun curled her lips. On the other hand, they also obtained a lot of immortal Tao materials. These energy materials contained immortal energy, which was very helpful to their cultivation. Just the fact that these materials could almost bring the dead back to life was enough to make all the experts in the world go crazy. I actually got 12 drops. A smile appeared on Su Yan's face, but it quickly turned dark. The little bean had stolen at least a few dozen drops. Every drop of immortal Tao substance was extremely precious. However, when Su Yan examined the immortal Tao substance, he was somewhat disappointed. There was only a limited amount of deathless immortal Tao substance, and it couldn't be compared to what Fairy Violet Glow had given him. After all, he had been heavily injured by Big Brother Prehistoric and hadn't been able to get any nourishment for a long time. The damage to his body was too great, so the value of these immortal Tao materials wasn't particularly high. However, 12 drops could allow him to extract quite a bit of undying matter. Overall, his gains were quite large. However, Su Yin and the others quickly fell silent. He clenched his fists. The forbidden creature had transformed into Tensor's appearance. It was obvious that he had encountered Tensor before. How could Tensor resist a damaged forbidden creature? Search and capture him. Dig 3 feet into the ground and capture him. Su Yin said fiercely. We haven't seen his body yet, so we can't confirm that Tensor has died just like that. Search for him. Since there was a type of life energy in this realm, it meant that it was special enough. If even a forbidden creature was here, then in this damaged universe, this place must be extraordinary. Although the chances of Tensor being alive were very slim, Su Yin and the others still had a trace of hope in their hearts. They hoped that a miracle would happen. Just like that, they began their search. This realm was vast. After searching for a while, Yuan said in a low voice, "Let's go to the place where Big Brother left his imprint." Although this imprint had dissipated, Yuan could still sense the general area. Just like that, their group crossed over and soon arrived at their destination. The scene here was especially shocking. It was a huge abyss dyed in blood and filled with space-time fragments. It was filled with an extremely bitter and vicious aura. This is where Big Brother severely injured that forbidden creature. Su Yin whispered. They could capture the remnant vicious aura between heaven and earth. They didn't know what kind of battle had taken place here, but in short, the forbidden creature's fate was extremely cruel. It was almost trampled to death by Big Brother. Luo Dali wanted to search inside, but as soon as he got close, his body began to tremble. This shattered starry sky was filled with a terrifying power that wanted to crush his body. Su Yin and the others didn't dare to act rashly. The place where the forbidden battle had taken place had an indescribable energy left behind. It wasn't a place they could enter and investigate at will. Come with me quickly. At this moment, Yuan said, Up ahead, there's another imprint left behind by Big Brother. It's a bit far away. Su Yin and the others followed the fluctuations across the universe. The deeper they explored, the denser the life energy pervading the place became. The universe of death, a land of life. Su Yin thought to himself, back then, the Celestial Court's army of billions followed this path to the legendary Emperor Road. Could there be some sacred pure lands or strongholds left behind by the Celestial Court along the way? This guess was credible. Moreover, since Big Brother had entered this place, it was enough to prove the importance of this place. Perhaps it really was related to the Celestial Court. Unfortunately, the Celestial Emperor's war banner was in a dormant state. This secret treasure was too special. Even with Su Yan's current realm, he couldn't control it. Just like that, they followed the source all the way across. The atmosphere of life was becoming more and more majestic. However, The life energy flowing between heaven and earth was extremely difficult to absorb. A formless life energy actually has such far-reaching effects. Since the forbidden creature is here, it should have gone to the land of life, right? They were especially vigilant and cautious along the way. They had been crossing for almost a day, but they still hadn't reached their destination. It was too far. Look, at this time, Yun's eyes blossomed with divine splendor. Her clothes fluttered in the wind, and her snow-white skin was hazy with the power of extreme Yin. She gazed into the distance and saw an extremely resplendent ball of light glowing from afar. This immortal medicine, it actually came here. Yin was moved. Could it be that the source of life ahead was the realm that nurtured the immortal medicine? If that was the case, then it really was a heaven-defying creation. It would inevitably form a peerless treasure land. This kind of heaven-defying creation realm couldn't exist in the outside world. Even the peak races wouldn't be able to grasp it. The source of life that nurtured the immortal medicine. Yan's breathing was heavy as he gazed at the fist-sized little true phoenix bathed in auspicious multicolored radiance. Its aura was divine. It seemed to be tired from the journey and stopped to rest on a star. Originally, Yin and the others wanted to quietly sneak over and capture the immortal medicine alive. Unfortunately, this little being's spiritual senses were too sharp. It immediately caught four auras closing in on it. The little being was given a fright. It didn't expect Yin and the others to be able to find this place. Xiao, the little being crawled up and fled. Its speed was extremely fast. Its body streaked across the horizon as it rushed in the direction of the source of life. Yin and the others sighed continuously. This little guy was too vigilant, directly fleeing. Do you guys think this place is the same as Dragon City, a training ground? Yin said softly. The immortal medicine might be a creature nurtured by the training ground. This really was hard to say. In short, they were close to their destination. Yuan could sense that the imprint left behind by the prehistoric Big Brother was getting closer and closer to them. Their speed also began to increase, anticipating what they would encounter in the source of life. Another 2 hours passed. In this vast sea of stars, the aura of life that pervaded the air was abnormally vast. Unfortunately, this kind of energy couldn't be absorbed at all. It was a kind of invisible substance that affected this dead universe to be full of vitality. When they were about to approach and rush in the direction of the source, even though they were very far away, they could already see the end of time and space. It was extremely brilliant. They seemed to have seen a celestial realm world with a vast and terrifying source of life. Moreover, there was immortal matter falling down. It drowned out a corner of the universe. Yin and the others were a little stunned. In the dead universe, there was a terrifying source of life. In fact, this place was too shocking. It was like an ancient celestial realm floating in the dead universe. Life emerged and lingered around immortal matter. Could this be a taboo training ground? I think it's extremely difficult for a forbidden powerhouse to create such a training ground. Yin and the others found it difficult to calm down. In front of them was the training ground of a true immortal. It was grand and majestic, full of rich immortal aura. It was like a place where a group of immortal powerhouses lived. They encountered such a sacred place in a universe that was once dead. How could they not be shocked? They quickly rushed towards their destination. The deeper they went, the more vast the immortal fluctuations in front of them became. No wonder immortal medicines could be born here. This place really seized the good fortune of heaven and earth. However, they were about to reach their destination and even rush into the land of good fortune. A kind of world-shocking pressure surged over. It was full of a kind of terrifying heavenly might. It surged and rippled, oppressing Yin and the others to the point of suffocating. Don't rush in. A thought arose in Yin's mind. Ahead of them was a life-forbidden zone. They couldn't rush in. Once they took a step forward, they would all be smashed to pieces. Let me communicate with Big Brother's imprint and send us into the land of good fortune." Yuan roared in a low voice. He activated the imprint left behind by the prehistoric Big Brother. In the extremely sacred realm, a blurry figure soared up. It seemed to be looking into the past, present, and future. This was the imprint left behind by Big Brother. The moment it awakened, it opened up a domain. "We can go in." The hearts of Su Yin and the others were beating wildly. They followed this path and entered a mythical country. During the process, they could see that if it wasn't for the revival of the prehistoric Big Brother's energy, they would definitely be crushed into ashes. When they were close to the imprint left behind by Big Brother, Su Yin and the others were overwhelmed with shock. That was because there was an extremely grand supreme fluctuation in front of them. A monarch was floating in front of them. It was hard to imagine how powerful it was. It made Su Yin and the others want to submit and worship it. Could this be the imperial residence of a monarch? Su Yin and the others were shocked. Their legs couldn't even stand steadily. This wasn't shameful because the aura in front of them was too imposing. Even Su Yin couldn't help but feel that when mighty figures looked down on them, they were like ants. However, there were also mighty existences that looked down on mighty figures and treated them like ants. With Su Yan's current cultivation, he wouldn't panic even if he encountered a powerful being. However, the aura in front of them made them so terrified that they wanted to kneel down. Perhaps this was an emperor. Chapter 1189. This kind of majesty, must I kowtow when I see a monarch? Dali was bewitched as he mumbled to himself. He wanted to immediately prostrate himself in worship, because this kind of will was too majestic. It was difficult to imagine how astonishing it was. It was difficult to fathom this degree of power. He walked step by step toward the place of Emperor's might, wanting to carry out a devout worship. Su Yin grabbed Tensor's arm and released a wave of great Tao voice, berating Dali and waking him up. Dali shuddered and woke up. Just now, Dali was silent and couldn't extricate himself. He even wanted to walk over and prostrate himself in worship. The influence of Emperor's might was too terrifying. Even the divine king found it difficult to guard his heart. Su Yan's expression was clear, and his Tao heart was steady. He wasn't so affected that he was out of his wits. Now, they were standing in the imprint left behind by the prehistoric Big Brother. He felt that if this imprint didn't isolate much of the divine might, then Su Yin and the others might very well prostrate themselves in worship of the Emperor's divine might. The influence is really terrifying. What kind of person's Tao field is this? Su Yin was also thinking. Between the prehistoric Big Brother and the legendary Emperor, who was stronger and who was weaker? This was hard to say. No one knew how strong the prehistoric Big Brother was, but the fact that the imprint he left behind could exist until now was enough to prove how powerful the Big Brother was. Buzz! Su Yan's eyes instantly widened. In the vast world of divine might in front of him, Su Yan's golden heavenly eye shone, and he saw a majestic figure. At this moment, Su Yan's Tao heart showed signs of collapsing. He sensed a kind of extremely majestic divine might, as if the ruler of the universe flowed with boundless Emperor's might. It descended between heaven and earth, as if it was looking down on the past, present, and future. So terrifying. Su Yan's voice trembled. Was this the Emperor? This was too terrifying. At this moment, Su Yin felt that the universe was him. Even his figure passed through the past, present, and future, looking down on the long river of time. His divine might was irreversible, and those who touched it would die. Time passed very slowly, but also seemed very long. When the figure turned blurry and even dissipated, Su Yin felt like an eternity had passed. During this process, his Tao heart was interrogated, but he withstood it, withstanding the intimidation of an emperor. However, Su Yin felt that this was not enough. He still needed to improve his Tao heart and temper his great Tao, because if it had been a little longer, he might have really knelt down. Because of this, Su Yin also discovered his own shortcomings. He still needed to become stronger. If he couldn't even look up to this kind of existence, how could he even talk about chasing after it? Who? Su Yin gasped heavily for breath, and his expression recovered its clarity. When he looked at the path ahead once more, a destructive fluctuation surged in front of him, and it wanted to annihilate them in both body and soul. An artifact, Yin exclaimed. Her eyes widened as she saw an artifact floating in front of her. Could it be that the aura, just now, was emitted by this artifact? An artifact refined by an emperor. Could it be an emperor artifact? Yin focused his eyes. Soon, he saw that in front of him, which could be said to be the entrance to the sacred Pure Land, was a blood-soaked golden ruler. Could it be an incomplete emperor artifact? Immediately after, they lost their composure. This golden ruler was incomplete. If the 3 segments of a ruler were combined into one, it should be a complete emperor artifact. But what kind of treasure could shatter an emperor artifact? Although this 3-segment golden ruler was incomplete, it still exuded a terrifying emperor's aura. They felt that it should be an emperor's weapon, so it could be called an emperor artifact. However, even the strongest puppet of the uncanny craftsmanship series could shatter, so it was no exception for an emperor artifact to shatter. The 3-segment golden ruler flowed with emperor's aura. It rippled with unfathomable energy fluctuations. As it floated in front of them, it was filled with a vague emperor's aura that could intimidate ghosts and deities. Wong, Yan's eye of the universe, burned even hotter. He stared at the 3-segment golden ruler and also at the entrance to the sacred Pure Land. Soon, Yan made an astonishing discovery. This sacred Pure Land had always been in a sealed state, but this 3-segment golden ruler had broken through the seal. This was no trifling matter. This was once a sacred land of treasures in a sealed state. Since the incomplete emperor artifact had broken through the entrance, it meant that this emperor artifact did not belong to the sacred Pure Land. Then what was the reason? Also, what secrets were hidden in this sacred Pure Land? Yan bitterly smiled. This incomplete emperor artifact was floating at the entrance to the sacred Pure Land. This was the same as cutting off his hopes of entering. He was destined to miss out on a great stroke of good fortune. Wasn't this too laughable? Then, since the prehistoric Big Brother had come, did he enter this place? Look, Big Brother, look, Dali excitedly shouted. His tiger-like eyes widened and hot tears rolled down his cheeks. He could faintly see a tall and sturdy figure floating below the 3-segment golden ruler. The main reason was that the 3-segment golden ruler was too resplendent, making it difficult for them to clearly see what was going on inside. Yan's pupil shrank. His eye of the universe shot over, and he instantly saw a tall and sturdy figure floating at the entrance to the sacred Pure Land. Tensor! Yan cried out in alarm. This was definitely Tensor. They could not be mistaken. Tensor is still alive. Ha ha! Yuan threw his head back and laughed. This was great news. Even Tensor had entered the sacred Pure Land. This was his opportunity. This is really a case of wearing out iron shoes in a fruitless search, only to find it without any effort. Tensor is still alive. Yan laughed. He used his primordial spirit to send a voice transmission to Tensor. He discovered that Tensor was in a state of deep sleep. His injuries seemed to be particularly serious. Now he was absorbing the energy of the sacred Pure Land on his own, as if he was recuperating. Waves of voices assaulted him, causing his tall and sturdy body to begin to tremble. Soon his eyes opened. He was a little confused and also had an illusion. He was in a daze. When he heard the call from outside, Tensor's body trembled violently. He said with a trembling voice, "Is it you guys? Is it you guys?" When the reply reached their ears, Yin and the rest were pleasantly surprised. They laughed loudly. Tensor was still alive. It's really you guys. Ha ha ha. Tensor also laughed excitedly. I didn't expect you guys to find this place. Luckily, I'm still alive. I'm still alive. They were pleasantly surprised to reunite with their brothers. However, Tensor struggled. He wanted to go out and meet up with Yin and the rest. However, it was difficult for him to move. He growled, I don't think I can go out. These 3 rulers are pressing down on me. It's hard for me to go out. What? The arch weapons are suppressing you? Yin was surprised. He sent a voice transmission. Did you encounter any danger inside? Is there a way to go in? I didn't encounter any danger. Tensor clenched his teeth and said, "It's strange. I thought I would die in the abyss. However, when I fell into the abyss, 3 rulers flew over and carried me across the universe of death." Yuan and the rest were dumbfounded. The legendary Tharch weapons were protecting Tensor. Dali was also dumbfounded. This fortune was somewhat heaven-defying. However, with Tensor's cultivation, how could he attract the attention of the Tharch weapons? The Tharch weapons were protecting him and even brought him here to recuperate. Suyin looked like he had seen a ghost. He originally thought that Baotsai's fortune was shocking enough. However, Tensor's fortune was heaven-defying. This meant that the Tharch weapons were protecting him. Perhaps in the future, Tensor will be able to control the Tharch weapons. Moreover, this sacred Pure Land was obviously unsealed not long ago. Could it be that the Tharch weapons had been sleeping in the abyss? Could it be that the Arch weapons were related to the Celestial Court? Zhang family village is not simple. Suyin suddenly felt that this village was not ordinary. First, 2 supreme bodies came out. Moreover, East Demon was mysterious and unpredictable. Although Su Yin had encountered East Demon before, he did not detect East Demon's general combat strength. 2 supreme bodies came out of a village. Moreover, this village was near the heavenly mountain of the 9 great celestial mountains. Was this a coincidence? Or was Zhang family village not ordinary? You guys be careful, Tensor suddenly said anxiously. Previously, a very powerful monster came here. This monster wanted to rush in. His combat strength was very strong. However, because of the special mark at the door, he was forced to retreat. We killed that person. He was a taboo expert, Dali said arrogantly, scaring Tensor. He stammered and then said painfully, "How long has it been? Could it be that hundreds of years have passed?" Suyin, don't tell me you guys have stepped into the realm of supreme beings? Also, have you found the Baokai? Dali scratched his head. It was very difficult for the brothers to communicate with each other through the Arch weapons. My injuries are too serious. I think I'm going to fall into a deep sleep. Tensor's voice was weak. He said, "This place is very extraordinary. There is a special energy between heaven and earth that has a miraculous effect on my injuries." "Tensor, are there other creatures here?" Suyin asked. While Tensor was still awake, he quickly understood the situation here. Perhaps there was hope to enter. "I don't know. I feel that this place is very strange. Previously, I saw a few true phoenixes. They were too strong and lived in the depths of the treasure land. However, they did not seem to take me, an outsider, seriously." His reply made Su Yin stunned. Could there be a group of immortal medicines here? "Unfortunately, I was suppressed by the 3 rulers. I can't go in to investigate." Tensor said, "That's right, Su Yin. Do you remember the golden lady from the bipolar star? She used to be with the Sun Dome and even King Flash." Before he could finish, Su Yan's expression changed. He said, "Of course I remember. You've seen her? Could she be from here?" "No, she came here a few days ago." Tensor was somewhat shocked. He said, "She even happened to meet that monster. However, that monster seemed to be afraid of that woman and did not make things difficult for her." Su Yin was flabbergasted. The Golden Lady's background was so great that even the taboo did not make things difficult for her. So much so that Su Yin often thought of the bronze weapon tree that he encountered on the bipolar star. It was nourishing a supreme heavenly weapon. Moreover, her background must be so astonishing that even the taboo was afraid of her. It was truly inconceivable. Su Yin and her had a karmic relationship because of a mysterious seed. "I can't take it anymore. I'm going to sleep." Tensor said one last time, "Don't force your way in here. It's too dangerous." Also, that golden woman said that she was going to explore the Emperor Road. "Take care of yourselves along the way. Don't worry about my safety." Su Yin was horrified. Someone had actually gone ahead of them to explore the Emperor Road. Chapter 1190. Tensor had fallen into a deep slumber. Dali tried to call out to him a few times, but he did not get any response. "It seems like we can't enter the dojo. I'm really curious. How did this place come to be? To think that it could nurture the legendary immortal medicine. Yuan exclaimed. The sacred dojo was flowing with immortal substances and was extremely resplendent. If this scene were to spread, it would definitely cause a huge commotion. They all felt that this was the strongest heaven and earth, and perhaps there was hope to become a taboo. If even immortal medicine could be nurtured, what else could not be nurtured? Unfortunately, 3 broken emperor weapons floated in front of them, blocking the entrance. Su Yin and the others could not enter. It was a pity, but since Tensor was inside, perhaps he could obtain a great opportunity. Right now, the Emperor Road is more important. Su Yin retracted his gaze and said in a low voice, "We don't have much time left. That golden lady has a great background. I don't think she's a powerhouse from our realm." Li and the others did not know much about this mysterious golden lady, nor did they know that such a person existed in the cultivation world. However, if Su Yin was afraid of her, then her background must be extraordinary. Back in the day, Su Yin, Tensor, and Baokai had explored a forbidden area on the bipolar star. They had encountered a weapon tree, and its layout was unforgettable. There was even a golden lady who had awakened from a deep slumber, but they did not know which era she originated from. After that, Su Yin took away a mysterious seed, and the golden lady must have been brooding about it. Now that he thought about this seed, Su Yin still could not figure out what it was. He had always kept it close to his body, and Su Yin could not find any clues about it. It must be said that it was very mysterious. This was enough to show the importance of this item. Perhaps even the powerhouses would find it difficult to use it. This item was too high-end, and he was looking forward to the day when he could figure out the origin of this mysterious seed. The entrance to the Emperor Road is in our realm. I really don't know what secrets it hides. Yuan was shocked and asked, "Do you think that if the Emperor's Road opens, the powerhouses of the outer verse will enter our realm?" Su Yin felt a chill in his heart. This was highly possible, and this matter was too important. He had to rush over as soon as possible and find out what the Emperor Road was. The strongest creation in history should be closely related to the Emperor Road. Swish! Swish! Su Yin and the others streaked across the horizon, disappearing from this sacred land. Just now, when Tensor was in deep slumber, he told Su Yin the direction of the Golden Woman. Now, they followed this path and crossed all the way. However, to Su Yin's regret, he did not encounter any traces of the prehistoric Big Brother here. This meant that Big Brother Prehistoric only went to the sacred dojo back then and did not take a trip to Emperor Road. This made Su Yin suspicious. Could it be that the sacred dojo was more important to his big brother than the Emperor Road? Or could it be that his big brother was not interested in the Emperor Road at all? Su Yin shook his head. There was no point in thinking too much. He felt that the Emperor Road was not far from here. The group traveled without stopping, crossing the vast death universe. Time passed day after day. For 3 days and 3 nights, they did not stop to rest along the way. This death universe was too vast. Only the heavens knew how vast it was. Su Yin and the others did not have any coordinates along the way, so they could only follow one path. This was like looking for a needle in a haystack. Fortunately, their primordial spirit cultivation was extremely high, so they did not get lost. There are some buildings up ahead. Su Yan's eyes lit up. His golden celestial eye shone and looked into the distance. His eyes peered into the face of the world in the distance. He saw a few buildings floating in the cosmos. They were very close together, and there were patches and patches of them. This should be the habitat of a group of races. The protectors of Dragon City. They are very proud of the fact that our realm is in charge of the entrance to the Emperor Road. It's not surprising that there are some buildings at the entrance to the Emperor Road. E.C. Yin chuckled. Maybe now. We're close to our destination. We're very close to the source. Su Yin thought so too. They crossed another path and arrived at the ancient buildings. They began to explore deeper and found that the buildings were getting more and more crowded. They even saw many magnificent palaces that were well preserved. Incredible. So many eras have passed, and these buildings have not collapsed. Are they all forbidden palaces? Billy smacked his lips. He wanted to move these palaces away. These immortal buildings could be sold for a high price in the outside world. It's like standing in the sky and arriving at the legendary Heaven Palace. Yuan exclaimed. They looked at the wasteland in all directions. The buildings covered a vast area and floated above the 9 heavens. Although most of them had collapsed or were damaged, they were still floating in the sky. This was really like the Heaven Palace world. If this was prehistoric, how shocking would the layout of the Heaven Palace be? The dilapidated Heaven Palace still had some remnants of its historical glory. It was as if he had arrived at a dilapidated mythological kingdom. Su Yin discovered that the layout of the buildings here was somewhat similar to that of the peak of God Burial Mountain. The reason Su Yin could not forget about the peak of God Burial Mountain was mostly because of the 6 supreme treasures. He still had not figured out what level the 6 treasures were at. If one day Su Yin penetrated the realm of the mighty, he would go to God Burial Mountain again. He would see if he could take the 6 treasures. They did not stay here for long. They passed through the buildings. As for the scene in front of them, Su Yin and the others were shocked from the depths of their souls. There's a city in front. The group was dumbfounded. The city was too big. They felt that the Great Path City was small in front of this city. Even the sun, moon, and stars in the sky were small in front of this city. This city was as magnificent as the universe. It was deep and filled with an oppressive aura. This is the first time I've seen such a big city. I wonder how long it would take to build a city like this. How much money would it take to build it? Su Yin clenched his fist. Looking at the city, he was thinking about how glorious it was in history. How glorious and prosperous was the Emperor Road. Although the city was huge, it lacked spirit. After all, time had passed, and no one had lived in this city for countless years. However, when they saw the ancient words of the city gate, their hearts trembled. Even someone as strong as Su Yin felt like he was struck by lightning. This word was filled with an extremely grand and supreme aura. It was like an emperor's rune. It was difficult to understand, bitter and difficult to understand. However, this character was like a slumbering ancient emperor. Although it was just a single character, it had the power to command all the gods and demons in the world. Su Yan's spirit was shaken. His eyes stared at this word without blinking. It contained a strange magical power that urged Su Yin to pry into its meaning. However, the deeper he looked, the more Su Yin felt that this word was exuding a divine aura that could not be provoked. It was not like a word. Instead, it was like a person, an existence that dominated the world. It flowed with a terrifying Great Path immortal aura. It was filled with the ultimate power of the Great Path. It floated between heaven and earth and suppressed Su Yin until he was suffocating and trembling. Cough! Then Su Yin coughed up blood. His aura flickered. He knelt on one knee. His long black hair was scattered, covering his sorry face. Big brother. The Li and the others were shocked. What was this? Su Yin only looked at this word for a moment. He could not bear it anymore. His spirit was disillusioned. Su Yan's body trembled. He was about to be crushed by this word. Su Yin also let out a low roar. Emperor. This name can be called Emperor. This word could shake the world. It was hard to imagine what kind of existence could have carved this word. It was too unbelievable. The meaning it contained was bitter and difficult to understand. Su Yin only felt a little, and he felt that this word could be called Emperor. Emperor. In Isi's face turned pale. Had they arrived at their destination? Emperor Road should be in front of them, right? Since this word means emperor, then this city should be called Imperial City. Yuan and the others cried out. This city was called Imperial City. What a terrifying city. With the word emperor in its name, it must have been prosperous and glorious in the past. Imperial City. Su Yin stood up slowly. He was exhausted. However, he looked at Imperial City and said in a trembling voice, "Is this the last city that the Celestial Court's army left?" Now, they had arrived at their destination. Could this city be at the edge of the universe? Or could it be the last city guarding the universe's borders? Su Yin took a deep breath and suppressed the shock in his heart. Then he said in a low voice, "Come, let's go in and take a look. I wonder what's an Imperial City." The four of them set off at the same time towards Imperial City. Just the city gate alone was as vast as the ocean. The huge gate was covered with the marks of time. It was in a state of confinement. Su Yin could feel how shocking the city gate was. It cannot be opened by force. It was many times harder than the gate of Dragon City. When they were about to reach the city gate, boom, a thunderous explosion occurred. The word Emperor was awakening on its own. Ancient patterns flowed down along the void and quickly radiated onto Su Yin and the others. In an instant, they felt that their bodies were about to collapse. Yi Yuan, Yi Si Yun, and Luo Dali. The bodies of the three kings were bright and resplendent. They had awakened to the extreme. Under the illumination of the word Emperor, the blood in their bodies was flowing. It was even being stripped out of their bodies. They roared. They felt that the blood in their bodies was being sucked dry or even purified. Under the illumination of the word Emperor, their blood was completely ignited. Soon, a special mark formed by interweaving blood appeared between their eyebrows. It was powerful and terrifying. As for Su Yin, it was shocking. After all, his blood was very special. It was a type of 9-colored blood. It was very blurry, and it was very difficult to activate the hidden energy in his blood. Everyone knew that blood also contained inheritance and divine power. If the blood returned to its ancestral state, it could even evolve into the strongest generation of their ancestors. Originally, Su Yan's blood could not be awakened. Now, under the illumination of the word Emperor, his blood was boiling. It was boiling in the extreme realm. Just the sound of his blood flowing was even louder than the sound of a vast ocean. It was hard to believe. This was the sound of blood flowing, surging and surging, as if a blue sea was rolling, turning into a giant wave that rushed into the heavens. Boom! Su Yan's aura skyrocketed, and he let out a loud roar. 9-colored celestial radiance surged out from his body like 9 immortal divine rings. They revolved around his body, making him look like an emperor of men who could intimidate the heavens. Chapter 1191. 9-colored celestial radiance filled the sky. It was filled with the divine might of the immortal Tao. All of this originated from a blazing figure. 9-colored blood flowed on the surface of his body. Streaks of blood-red light turned into 9 layers of immortal divine rings that flowed around Su Yin. It was true that the 9 divine rings also showed signs of merging into one. 9-colored blood surged out from Su Yan's body. Immortal light flowed. At this moment, Su Yin was like a vague 9-colored true immortal. He was filled with a terrifying bloodline aura. It was truly terrifying. The same 9-colored blood quickly formed a bloodline mark on Su Yan's forehead. However, it was 9-colored. Boom! The moment his mark was formed, blood-red light shot into the sky. It illuminated the starry sky of the universe and turned it into 9 colors. It was an extremely shocking scene. It was difficult to describe just how powerful Su Yan's bloodline was. Roar. Finally, Su Yan let out a long roar. The awakening of his bloodline caused his aura to soar. He seemed to have pierced through some kind of barrier and stepped into a terrifying domain. It was as if a giant had come back to life. What kind of aura is this? Dali was shocked. He felt that Su Yin had turned into a supreme being. When a 9-colored divine light appeared, the universe trembled. It was enough to destroy everything in the world. There was nothing it could not do. The entire universe was shaking. It was about to be overturned and sunk by the aura in Su Yan's body. It was hard to imagine how powerful the 9-colored divine light was. However, Luo Dali was a little confused. He and Su Yan had gone through many life and death situations together. However, no matter what kind of situation they were in, Su Yan had never unleashed the power of his bloodline. Why did he suddenly awaken the power of his bloodline? Could it be because when Luo Dali's gaze landed on the Emperor's city, he saw the word Emperor engraved on it? Dali realized that the moment his bloodline was fully awakened, the essence of his bloodline changed. It became stronger and purer. This was the baptism of his bloodline. Even his bloodline leaked out an extremely powerful potential that replenished his body. It caused Luo de Li's aura to soar. He was like de Li's divine king. He had endless strength. De Li felt that his combat power had soared. This had a lot to do with the power of his bloodline. Even Yi Yuan and Yi Si Yun's bloodline had been awakened by the word emperor. This caused their potential in their bodies. It had to be said that the bloodline was really mysterious. Unknowingly, their battle prowess had increased by a lot. After all, it was the release of their potential. This was especially true for Yi Si Yun. She had the great moon holy physique, which was enough to be revered in prehistory. Now, her snow-white body faintly had an ancient great moon holy power awakening. In fact, their bloodlines were extraordinary. Yi Yuan and Yi Si Yun both had the bloodline of the burial region flowing in their bodies. It could even be traced back to the distant celestial court era. As for Luo de Li, he was born with divine strength. His ancestor must have been a world-shaking expert. This caused their generation to produce world-shaking experts. This was the special effect of their ancestral bloodline. However, no matter how powerful their bloodlines were, they were still weak in front of Su Yan's bloodline. Every color of his bloodline emitted a supreme energy fluctuation. The moment the 9-color blood boiled, Su Yan's aura soared. This bloodline is a little too powerful. Yi Yuan was stunned. How could Su Yan's bloodline be so powerful? Only Yi Si Yun had mixed feelings. Su Yan was an orphan. This was his deepest secret. It was also Su Yan's heart knot. She really didn't know who Su Yan's parents were. If Su Yan didn't jump out of the stone like Sun Wukong, his background must be very terrifying. Yi Si Yun thought to herself, the 9-colored bloodline. Even the ancient books of the Taoist temple don't have records of it. Su Yan roared. His mouth and nose spewed out bright ripples. It was as if millions of mountains had erupted and swept across the vast universe. When Su Yan's aura was released to the extreme and was about to turn into a 9-colored immortal, his aura was quickly declining. Su Yan's flesh shell seemed to be burning and was about to break apart. He went from being extremely glorious to being so weak that he couldn't even stand up. The contrast was too great. Su Yan knew that this was because his bloodline had erupted too fiercely. Su Yan's body couldn't bear it. Su Yan's bloodline was too special. It was difficult for the Emperor character to be completely activated. It quickly fell silent. My constitution, however, when Su Yan's situation improved, he realized that his body had changed. Although he didn't have an increase in his physical strength like De Li and the rest, Su Yan felt that his body had become many times lighter. It was a very special phenomenon. In the past, Su Yan seemed to have a layer of shackles on him. Now, the shackles had dissipated under the stimulation of his bloodline. He felt that his body was exceptionally light. This surprised Su Yan. He carefully sensed the changes in his body and realized that his constitution had changed. It was a little ridiculous. Whoa. He tried to absorb the energy between heaven and earth. He realized that his absorption speed had increased by a lot. This shocked Su Yan. His absorption speed was definitely not inferior to the mighty figure realm. Furthermore, as he breathed, his body glowed. It was as if he had transformed into a mystical stone that seized the fortune of heaven and earth. He could absorb, refine, and store any energy matter. In the state of the universe, Su Yan stood in the strongest domain. He used his body as the Tao and walked the path of the universe. His body was Su Yan's foundation. Now, with the changes in his body, Su Yan was filled with a terrifying spirituality. The amount of energy he breathed was astonishing. As he breathed, the heaven and earth dimmed. "Big brother, what have you experienced?" De Li exclaimed. "The three of us have increased our combat strength. But how can your absorption speed be so freakish? I feel that your absorption speed isn't inferior to that of a mighty figure expert. Could it be because the moment the bloodline was activated, it unlocked the special ability hidden in the bloodline?" Yi Si Yun's eyes narrowed. She said, "It caused your physique to mutate. Why is your absorption speed so astonishing? Freak, I feel that your absorption speed is even more frightening than some mighty figures. You can easily seize the matter of heaven and earth in a domain. Yuan was speechless. They were discussing excitedly, but Su Yin was silent. What did Big Brother see back then? Su Yin clenched his fists and suppressed the shock in his heart. The changes in his physique allowed Su Yin to circulate the body-nurturing technique more smoothly. It was as if this mystic technique was tailor-made for Su Yin. He really felt as if he had transformed into a mystical stone that was seizing the essence of the world. This was without a doubt a good thing. Using such a freakish amount of energy to replenish his losses in battle was enough to send his enemies into despair. Su Yin tried to sense the nine-colored blood, but his bloodline had returned to a calm state. No matter how strong his spiritual will was, it was like a stone sinking into the sea. He couldn't activate the mysteries within. I feel that the powerful absorption speed is only a part of the bloodline's innate ability. Su Yin thought to himself, when I become stronger in the future, I will further excavate the power of my bloodline. It will definitely make my own abilities even stronger. Su Yan's belief was quickly strengthened. No matter how strong his bloodline was, Su Yin respected his own body and walked the path of all things return to one. The source of all his power originated from his corporeal body and the universe within his body. His body was like the universe, encompassing all things in the heavens and turning them into the most essence. The purest and only source of power was Su Yan's invincible great Tao. All things return to one. I am the universe. Su Yan's eyes were sharp and frightening. Terrifying divine power surged within them. As he breathed, the surroundings rumbled. He was like a giant dragon breathing in the nine heavens, causing the world to rumble. Freak, too freakish, Li and the others kept exclaiming. Just the volume of Su Yan's exhalation alone was enough to make them feel pressured. It was a nightmare to make an enemy out of this person. At this moment, Su Yin came back to his senses from his cultivation and looked at the imperial city's gates again. At this moment, he felt that he could easily open the gates. The emperor character from before must have been some kind of test. Without a doubt, Su Yin had passed the test. What was the test? Su Yin felt that it was his bloodline, or even his origin. After all, this was the origin of the Emperor Road, the starting point of his journey. Big brother, why can't I go in? At this moment, Li was very distressed. When he saw Su Yin walking forward, he also wanted to go over. However, he realized that he couldn't pass at all. You can't go in? Su Yin was surprised. He looked at Yuan and Yin. Yun's face darkened. She couldn't go in either. However, why could Su Yin and Yuan cross over? That's not fair. Yin pouted. She felt wronged. Why? She was also a member of the buried region. Why could Yuan and Su Yin do it, but she couldn't? Su Yin smiled. He took Yun's soft hand and led her across. Yuan looked left and right. She helplessly grabbed Li and walked towards the imperial city. Although they didn't know the rules of the imperial city, Su Yin and Yuan could bring people in. Su Yin looked at Yuan. He felt that perhaps it was because of the prehistoric Big Brother that Yuan could enter the city. As for himself, Su Yin sighed. However, he could not tell what exactly was the reason. When they approached the city gate and pushed it open, the four of them were petrified. The gate was too big. The gate is this city. Su Yan's face twitched. They thought that this was the imperial city. However, it wasn't a city at all. To be more precise, the imperial city that they saw looked like a city. However, it was actually a huge gate that stretched for hundreds of millions of miles. When the city gate opened, they opened the mythical kingdom. During the process, there was a terrifying explosion. It was as if the emperor's drums were beating, shocking the heavens and earth. Could it be that this is the Emperor Road? Su Yin murmured. The gate opened as if a universe had opened. There was the earth-shaking sound of tsunamis and the sound of billions of thunderclaps. There was also an emperor's aura that had been sealed for a long time. It was vast and mighty, as if it was going to destroy the entire abyss. Emperor Road, Yin exclaimed. It should be the legendary Emperor Road. She didn't expect that they would arrive at their destination and open the gate to the Emperor Road. Who's there? Yan's expression changed. He opened his eyes of the universe and glared at a golden figure that was rushing towards them from afar. He immediately took action, raising a large hand, wishing to suppress it. However, the speed of this person was too fast, and he was using a special secret treasure. It was a green stone bridge that was filled with the power to cross realms. It was as if it could cross the river of time, and it carried her into the Emperor Road in an instant. Chapter 1192. She hit it too well, didn't she? Yin clenched his fists tightly. They had worked so hard to find the Emperor Road and even opened up this legendary road. However, someone had come to steal the fruits of their labor, and she had even succeeded. Yin was furious. He had been too careless. First of all, the Emperor Road was too important. He could not allow foreign experts to enter it, even though he did not know where this golden lady came from. However, opening the Emperor Road required a specific person or even someone with a special bloodline. This was enough to prove the importance of the Emperor Road. People from other regions should not even think about getting their hands on it. At that time, Yin had also learned about the Golden Lady's whereabouts from Tensor. He even learned that she was going to open up the Emperor Road. Yin was anxious. They had traveled day and night and finally arrived here, where they saw a city. Initially, Yin did not know that this city was the Emperor Road. Therefore, he had been careless and had not carefully explored the surroundings. As a result, the Golden Lady had been hiding in the distance. After all, she had arrived at the Emperor Road before Yin and the others. Since she did not come in immediately, it meant that she could not step into the Emperor Road at all. Now that the Emperor Road had been opened, this woman had finally made her move. Thank you. A cold voice rang out. This peerlessly beautiful woman was clad in golden armor. Her figure was impressive, her skin was snow white, and her long legs were straight and slender. Her beautiful legs seemed to be carved from jade, and they were extremely beautiful. The Golden Lady was stunning. She had a head full of sparkling golden hair, and her eyes were especially golden. This woman had an extremely noble aura. She was like a golden fairy as her figure traversed the void. With the help of a green stone bridge, she was crossing the space-time path. Even though Yin had unleashed all his strength in an attempt to block the Golden Lady, this green stone bridge was simply too frightening. It flowed with a world-shaking might that traversed through the long river of time and space. In an instant, it had reversed the space-time tunnel. What kind of treasure is this? Yun's appearance was not inferior to the Golden Woman's. However, in terms of figure, Yun was slightly inferior. The Golden Woman had a perfect figure that was envied by all the women in the world. She was extremely proud and had a noble aura. However, the blue stone bridge that she brought out caused Yun's beautiful face to turn pale. She had seen Vice President Jean use Cosmic Bridge many times, but she felt that there was a huge gap between it and this green stone bridge. What a terrifying space-time energy. Could this be a supreme treasure? Yuan and Ali's expressions changed drastically. They tried to block it, but the green stone bridge was too powerful. It reversed time and space and surged with the light of time. It seemed to be able to cross a realm and penetrate to the end of the universe. Just like that, the Golden Woman stood under the green stone bridge and rushed to Emperor Road. Don't go! Yan's eyes suddenly shrank. In an instant, he made a move and suppressed Yuan and the other two. Yan had already caught a glimpse of the extremely majestic Emperor's aura. It originated from an ancient word that was engraved on the door of Emperor Road. It could be called Emperor. Emperor Road was too big. Just the door alone penetrated hundreds of millions of miles. It was difficult for people to imagine how vast Emperor Road was. Just the door alone was enough to shock the world. Now this huge door was slowly opening. The process was earth-shattering and was enough to shake gods and demons. This was a terrifying and boundless aura. Yin suspected that it had penetrated the abyss and poured into the immortal graveyard. In fact, The immortal graveyard was now trembling slightly. This was a huge change. All the experts were shocked. Even the divine king could not find the source. It was as if the entire Earth's crust was shifting. Some rivers and mountains had changed their course. The effects were too far-reaching. Unfortunately, they did not know what was happening at the source. They only felt that the immortal graveyard was shaking. Perhaps no one would have thought that this was the movement of Emperor Road. This door was slowly moving. When a green stone bridge penetrated into Emperor Road, a golden woman was about to step into Emperor Road. In the end, a huge change occurred here. Boom! A loud explosion rang out, as if millions upon millions of thunderbolts were exploding. The Emperor character that had been silent for an endless amount of time finally released a supreme Emperor's might. It was as if the entire cosmos was pressing down, crashing towards the green stone bridge. Not good. The golden woman's expression changed. Even if the sky collapsed, she would not frown. But now, the Emperor character was glowing. It surged with an extremely majestic Emperor's aura that pressed down on the green stone bridge. Whoa! The green stone bridge erupted. In a short period of time, it recovered to its peak state. It was too blazing. It was as if it was condensed from an ancient river, connecting heaven and earth. Hundreds of millions of immortal marks bloomed on the stone bridge, outlining a huge bridge. But no matter how strong the green stone bridge was, it was still trembling in the face of the Emperor character's suppression. Although this ancient character had existed here for a long time, its power was still there. Once it was released, it could obliterate any substance. The hundreds of millions of immortal marks carved on the stone bridge began to fade. Finally, the stone bridge began to crack. The golden woman was shocked. This was the heavenly bridge. Although the heavenly bridge it controlled was not the real thing, its power was definitely greater than the universe bridge. This was a rare immortal treasure that even taboos would covet. But it could not withstand the suppression of a single character and began to collapse. Bam! Finally, the heavenly bridge began to explode. This ancient character slowly pressed down. In the eyes of the golden woman, it was as if the entire universe was sinking, pressing down on her delicate body. It was enough to make one despair. Who could withstand it? Most taboos would die. How could it be so strong? Could it be left behind by that great existence in the past? The golden woman's delicate body trembled. She recalled a great existence that created the heaven domain, pierced through the Emperor's Road, looked down on millions of orthodoxies, and dominated the past, present, and future. He originated from this world. This was the birthplace of endless myths and legends. It attracted people's yearning and greed. A single character that has existed for countless years. The golden woman's towering chest violently rose and fell. On her white wrist, a bracelet fell off with lightning speed. When the bracelet left her wrist, it was as if the stars in the sky were falling. It was also as if the gates of the universe were opening one after another. This bracelet was woven with 9 great treasures, each of which seemed to evolve into an ancient universe. What kind of supreme treasure is this? Even Su Yin was shocked. This bracelet was too frightening. The 9 supreme treasures were connected together, and it was as if the 9 supreme treasures were resonating, forming 9 universes. The laws of the immortal Tao interweaved, and they collided with the Emperor character that was suppressing her with lightning speed. The golden woman's eyes were filled with pain. This was because the origin of this treasure was too great. Although it was also an imitation, this set of supreme treasures was hard to come by. This bracelet blasted towards the Emperor character. In an instant, heaven and earth exploded. The vast starry sky trembled, and it was difficult to tell how big the crack was. Su Yin and the others could clearly see the 9 supreme treasures on this bracelet crumbling one after another. The moment the 9 supreme treasures were crushed into ashes by the Emperor character. The golden woman also took advantage of this precious time to break into the Emperor's Road. Her heart was bleeding because the price she paid was too shocking. If she could choose again, she would not choose to lose the green stone bridge and the bracelet. However, since she had already broken into the Emperor's Road, there was no turning back. However, the moment the Golden Woman broke into the Emperor's Road, a figure rose from the outside world like a comet and rushed into the Emperor's Road in an instant. Su Yan's aura was too strong. His combat strength soared to the peak, and his body flowed with monstrous cosmic energy. He clapped his hands and suppressed the Golden Woman. Boom! The Golden Woman's eyes widened. Her proud figure was steaming with golden divine light. She was swinging her fists. Although she was extremely beautiful and could be called the Golden Goddess, her aura was exceptionally strong. A single punch had the power to pierce through the universe. A loud sound was emitted from the collision between heaven and earth. It had to be said that her combat strength was too domineering. It was hard to imagine that this woman would explode with such a powerful strength. In an instant, she had shattered the cosmic light that filled the sky that Su Yan's palms had pushed forward. At first, the Golden Woman wanted to say something. However, Su Yan's aura went berserk. He charged forward, releasing his fist seals. His blood chi filled the air, and the void trembled. He let out a long roar, and his moves were wide open as he pressed forward. Every move drew on his strongest combat strength, and he attacked the Golden Woman with overwhelming force. The Golden Woman met his fist. Her delicate fist was numb, and the blood chi in her body was in turmoil. She was almost sent flying. She was moved. How many years had it been? How could Su Yan have grown to this extent? Even when the aura of the person in front of her erupted into the ultimate domain. A terrifying aura burst out from Su Yan's body. It could be said that it was irresistible. There was an incomparable divine power. The Golden Woman sensed that she couldn't resist this attack. Her slender waist swayed like a beautiful snake. Her movements were bewitching, and her charm was natural. In her golden body, wisps of ancient aura surged like that of a true phoenix. Boom! The void behind the Golden Woman exploded, and a supreme creature swooped out. It spread a pair of giant golden wings and danced in the wind. Heaven and earth were trembling. The terrifying fluctuations of the true phoenix made the sea of stars tremble. Everything between heaven and earth seemed to have been overturned by this creature. Ancestral Phoenix Secret Technique. Su Yan was shocked. This was the most powerful divine ability in history, the Ancestral Phoenix Secret Technique. He could sense the power of this secret technique. It carried a shocking pressure that originated from the long river of time. It swept over like lightning and rushed towards Su Yan. Although Dragon 9 said that it was difficult to exert the most powerful divine ability in history in the City of Dragons, it was the same for the Golden Woman now. It was very difficult for her to release this secret technique into the ultimate domain. However, even a small part of its power was shocking enough. It was like a boundless ancestral phoenix, whose figure filled the sky and flowed with the sound of the great Tao as it rushed over. Break! Su Yan let out a long roar. His body was like the universe, evolving thousands of killing Taos. Thousands of waves of air roared and bombarded forward. Thousands of Taos merged into a furnace and evolved into chaos. It contained the pinnacle of power as it collided with the attack. Chapter 1193. At the grand entrance of the Emperor Road, a battle at the pinnacle was taking place. The sky was full of energy, filled with the divine aura of a king. This was the collision between a true phoenix and chaos. Loud noises filled the sky, shaking the vast universe. The legendary strongest supernatural power in history, the Ancestral Phoenix Secret Technique. Could she have mastered the complete Ancestral Phoenix Secret Technique? Yuan and the others turned pale. It was very difficult to imagine that this divine ability from the annals of history would be grasped by an unknown woman. Moreover, this woman's combat strength was too shocking. She was like a golden saint, and her combat strength was extraordinary. The ancestral phoenix flew across the sky, crushing the chaos and causing it to tremble. Thousands of Taos began to collapse. Without a doubt, the secret technique created by Su Yin was extremely difficult to withstand against the ancestral phoenix secret technique. Moreover, the golden woman flew across the sky. Her delicate body seemed to have turned into an ancestral phoenix. She swooped down, crushing the chaos and killing her way towards Su Yin. It's time for us to settle our accounts. Her eyes were filled with coldness. Since she had taken the risk to come here, and even in front of Su Yin and the other kings, this golden woman must have cultivated an earth-shattering divine aura and possessed an invincible foundation. The ancestral phoenix flew across the sky with terrifying power. Heaven and earth lost their brilliance, and it seemed like she was going to crush him. Facing the incoming energy tide, Su Yin roared into the sky. His long black hair danced in the wind, and killing intent shot out from his eyes. From this moment on, Su Yin's aura changed. His body burned like an immortal furnace, and his blood essence was vigorous. It was like the sun in the sky, and also like a sea of blood covering the sun. His physical body was unbelievably strong. Boom! He punched forward, and the light of the great Tao flowed around his fist. It even emitted the great Tao's divine sound, and a supreme profundity that caused all things to return to chaos emerged. This punch was powerful, and the fist seal was unparalleled. It suppressed the great Tao's precepts, and it caused a corner of the Emperor Road to dim. Initial fist. Su Yin let out a loud roar and unleashed the strongest supernatural power of the initial scripture, the initial fist. Once this fist was released, all things returned to their origin. The great Tao retreated, and the world fell silent. Only this fist was dazzling to the extreme. When the fist radiance was released, the true phoenix seemed to have collapsed. However, both of them were the most powerful divine abilities in history. The ancestral phoenix secret technique wasn't crushed, and the golden woman's figure was also dazzling with divine light. This was a scene that was enough to shock the world. Two of the most powerful, great divine abilities in history were unleashing a violent collision. Moreover, their figures were surging with the pressure of time and space. After all, the origin of the secret technique was too ancient. When they collided with each other with all their might, it created a scene of heaven and earth collapsing. One had to know that this was the grand and majestic Emperor Road. It was difficult to explore its mysterious origins. This was the most powerful clash of supernatural powers in history. It could be said to be earth-shattering. As the two clashed, their auras formed a terrifying suppression. The final result was chilling. Su Yin punched a huge bloody hole in the ancestral phoenix's body. At the same time, the ancestral phoenix's power pressed down on Su Yin's body, wanting to crush his supreme battle prowess. Su Yin let out an angry roar. His body was blazing, and his blood essence was boiling. His body was too terrifying. It was filled with a kind of supreme might, and it forcibly blocked the ancestral phoenix's energy slash. Although Su Yin's body had some scars, it didn't affect him much. Moreover, because he had bathed in the dragon essence, he had an abnormal recovery ability. Therefore, Su Yin's injuries were healed in a short time. His aura once again surged to the peak. On the other hand, the golden woman was bleeding from the corner of her mouth. Her golden eyes were filled with coldness. She had never thought that Su Yin had mastered the initial fist and even tempered the divine king's body to such an extent. How long had it been? Su Yin had stepped into the divine king realm for less than a year, but Su Yin's divine king's body was too overbearing. All of this was closely related to the fortune in Dragon City. It allowed Su Yin to accumulate a few decades of foundation in advance. Moreover, this kind of foundation was a baptism of dragon essence that an ordinary divine king would find difficult to obtain even after tens of thousands of years of cultivation. Su Yin's aura was tyrannical as he strode over. He looked at the golden woman and shouted, "I don't care who you are. This is not a place where you can come." Hearing this, the golden woman said coldly, "You can't stop me. Since ancient times, the Emperor Road has been ruled by the strong. Although your realm controls the entrance to the Emperor Road, times have changed. Your realm has lost the qualification to be the strongest universe. I don't know what the strongest universe is, Su Yin said coldly, but I'm here. You can't enter. Arrogant. The golden woman was furious. Her body was suffused with golden divine splendor. Her aura was blazing fiercely. A great golden sun hung high in the sky, surging with the most powerful source of life. It was simply as if a great sun battle physique was awakening. She rushed over. The sky was filled with golden divine light, and surging with the divine power of the great path. This was the aura of a celestial art leaking out. It was extremely terrifying. When it erupted, the sky was filled with golden great paths crisscrossing, forming terrifying divine chains of the great path. She was really strong. She was strong enough to crush the divine king. Yuan and the others admitted that they were inferior. How could they be killed by her? Even the four children of chaos were very dim in front of her. This was a true genius. Yin clenched her slender hands. If she could tap into the power of the Tying holy power to the extreme, she felt that she would not be inferior to the golden woman. However, this was too difficult. It was not something that could be cultivated through hard work alone. Without a great opportunity, it was very difficult to cultivate the Tying holy body to the extreme. Su Yin and the golden woman attacked each other. The divine might of this battle shocked the world. A golden sun continuously bombarded Su Yin. Every strike could pierce through the universe and kill the divine king. Unfortunately, she encountered Su Yin. She had completely underestimated Su Yin's battle prowess. When Su Yin was serious, even the gods and demons in the sky would tremble. That terrifying killing light erupted. How could the Earth Palace's 5 years of bloody struggle be spent in vain? Kill! He roared. He raised his fist and smashed it down. He was fast, accurate, and ruthless. He could easily ignite his strongest battle prowess. There was an earth-shattering collision. Su Yin continuously brandished his fists and bombarded the golden sun. Divine light sputtered out from his fists, causing the world to rumble. In the process, the golden sun was released to the extreme. The golden woman's battle prowess also erupted to the extreme domain. She launched a great collision with Su Yin. After more than 10 exchanges, the void collapsed and the universe was wailing. This woman is so strong. She can meet Su Yin head-on. Yuan was speechless. He said, when Su Yin stepped into the divine king realm, he could completely crush Xiaoming. But this golden woman is too strong. Could she really be from outside the realm? Dali was silent. Just how strong were the enemies from outside the realm? However, no matter how strong the golden woman was, she was still suppressed by Su Yin. No matter how terrifying the surging golden great Tao was, it was similarly suppressed by the profound meaning of the beginning of all things. When Su Yin's final punch blasted out, it was as if a great star in the universe was charging through the sky. The impact caused the golden woman's divine radiance to scatter. Her entire body was sent flying. Boom! Su Yin rose from the ground. He was like a true dragon soaring through the sky. He was so fast that even the void was cut apart by his figure. He rushed forward. He lifted his hand and slammed it towards the golden woman. Su Yin wanted to suppress her. This was a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. If he succeeded, then Su Yin would be able to obtain much information about matters outside the realm. He might even be able to learn from her where the Celestial Court's army had gone in the past. However, when Su Yin's palm slammed into the golden woman's body, the golden armor she wore began to shine. This armor flowed with a strange and mysterious strength. Moreover, dense ancient characters began to appear on the armor. Each character flowed with immortal radiance. They were like immortal Tao characters carved by immortal Tao life forms. They filled the air with Dali's strength. This was the manifestation of tens of millions of golden characters. For a time, the golden armor was terrifying. It set off the golden woman, making her seem like a true immortal. How could she have so many secret treasures on her? What a terrifying battle armor. What level is it at? I can faintly feel that there is an immortal secret force. Yun's beautiful face lost all color. She was worried for Su Yan. This battle armor was too extraordinary. Its inheritance was ancient. Now that its potential had been activated, it released billions of strands of golden immortal radiance. Bang! Su Yan's palm seemed to have struck an immortal divine iron. The impact caused his entire hand to go numb. "You can't break my battle armor." The golden woman snorted. She punched out at Su Yan. This punch revived the golden armor. She was like an immortal Tao life form. Her battle strength had risen by a large margin. This was her trump card. It was too astonishing. Su Yan pulled out his universe weapon at lightning speed. It transformed into a sky piercer and smashed towards her fist. The two collided, causing the world to collapse and the void to explode. Everything was destroyed. Puffed. Su Yan's body trembled violently. The web between his thumb and forefinger was shattered. He was astonished. What kind of battle armor was this? It was too sturdy. Even the ancient energy within the battle armor was enough to cause the Golden Woman's battle strength to soar. Boom! The Golden Lady charged over. The armor she was wearing gave her an extremely powerful combat strength. She waved her jade-like palm, which could easily split open the sky. It directly transformed into a golden heavenly blade and slashed towards Su Yan's head. This attack was especially sharp. Even someone as powerful as Su Yan's head would be chopped off by her. Whoosh! Su Yan's figure tore through the heavens and evaded the sharpness of this palm. At the same time, his universe weapon transformed into a cauldron and hovered above Su Yan's head. It rotated with a rumble. The battle situation gradually changed. Su Yan appeared to be in a sorry state. He kept retreating. However, the Golden Woman was flustered and exasperated. She was already so powerful, but she still couldn't suppress Su Yan. The 5 years of fighting in the Earth Hall had taught Su Yan a life-saving technique. Although the Golden Woman's battle strength was extraordinary with the help of the armor, as long as Su Yan didn't fight her directly, she couldn't do anything to him. However, as time passed, the golden armor's immortal radiance began to weaken. Even the Golden Woman's aura began to weaken. "It seems like you're tired." Su Yan smiled as if he had been entrusted with a heavy burden. "I have my own methods to deal with you. Take this." The Golden Woman glared at him angrily. She was unconvinced. She charged forward fiercely. An ancient bronze tree rose behind her. The moment the ancient tree appeared, strands of terrifying aura emerged. "You finally brought out your trump card." Su Yan stared at the top of the bronze tree. He saw a peerless halberd. It was like a heaven and earth guillotine that could sever the universe. However, he saw a different scene. A figure appeared, exuding an unparalleled, invincible divine might. He seemed to have been dormant for millions of years. The moment he came back to life, the entire Emperor's Road rumbled faintly. It was as if he had once conquered Emperor's Road. He had fought until all the kings in Emperor's Road trembled. Chapter 1194. Why does a bronze tree make me tremble in fear? Yuan and the other two felt chills run down their spines as they stared at the bronze tree. First of all, this bronze tree was shocking enough. It took root in space-time and emitted vast cosmic energy. This weapon tree was very strange. It was as if it used the universe as its nourishment. The divine power of heaven and earth was absorbed by the bronze tree until it was dim. It had to be said that this manifestation was especially shocking. After all, it was just a bronze tree. How could it have such a shocking amount of energy? Moreover, there were weapons growing on this bronze tree. Each weapon was absorbing the energy of the bronze tree. During the nurturing process, these weapons shone and emitted the sound of the great Tao. The light of the great Tao flowed. Yun was shocked. A bronze tree was nurturing weapons. It was unbelievable. The main thing was that it nurtured many weapons, and each weapon contained the terrifying great Tao of the universe. Of course, no matter how strong these weapons were, they could not be compared to the bronze tree. It was huge, and its trunk was like a bronze pillar. It emitted an ancient, desolate, and primordial wave. It was hard to imagine how long it had lived and how many weapons it had nurtured. This tree was completely bronze. Even its leaves were bronze. It took root in space-time and absorbed the essence of the universe to nourish all kinds of weapons. But what shocked them the most was that countless weapons spewed out their essence and surged to the top of the bronze tree. This was Su Yan's second time seeing such a scene. This bronze tree had existed for countless years, but it had nurtured countless weapons. However, these weapons were only nourishment. They were all nourishing a large halberd. The first time, Su Yan could not see the shape of the weapon at the top, but now he could see it clearly. It was a bright halberd. It was as if it was cutting through the heavens. It was filled with the essence, energy, and spirit to destroy everything. Su Yan clenched his fists. He was envious. This weapon was too powerful. It had been nurtured for a long time. It could be called a supreme treasure embryo. Even a taboo would be envious of it. But this time, Su Yan also saw a different scene at the peak of the weapon tree. It was an especially blurry and illusory figure, like an immortal brand. It was especially shocking, as if it had opened its eyes and started to look down on all living things. This kind of bearing and elegance was no small matter. It contained an incomparable divine might. He was truly like a supreme being between heaven and earth. The golden-haired woman, stood in front of him. Her figure was impressive, and her curvaceous body was surrounded by golden divine radiance. She said indifferently, "You don't even have the right to see him." Her words carried a type of contempt. Only, it was unknown whether the him the golden woman spoke of was because of the snow-white great halberd or because of the imprint. In short, she seemed extremely confident and calm, as if the outcome was already decided. "You're right," Su Yan chuckled. "But now, I really want to control this halberd treasure. Do you think I can get it?" Hearing this, the beautiful face of the woman in gold rippled with coldness, and she sneered, "You won't shed tears until you see the coffin. Your world will eventually wither away, and you won't be able to produce a true young supreme being who dominates the world, let alone a universe king. Looks like you're very confident, although I don't know how glorious our world used to be." Su Yan laughed. "But today, in this Emperor Road, with me standing here, you're destined to get nothing." Boom! The golden-haired woman's body glowed, and the mysterious golden armor that covered her delicate body steamed with divine radiance. The bronze weapon tree that took root behind her also began to awaken at lightning speed. In a corner of the vast Emperor Road, there was a roar. The power of this bronze weapon tree was extremely powerful, especially when the great halberd at the top of it was revived. There was a shocking sharpness that cut through thousands of miles of the sky. "This is not confidence," she said coldly. "This is the crushing of civilization. If you can withstand 3 attacks, you'll be proud. You're too proud." Whoosh! The golden-haired woman swooped down, accompanied by layers of peerless sharpness that contained terrifying cosmic waves. What a terrifying weapon! De Li's heart trembled. The great halberd seemed a little blurry and unreal. However, the aura it released was too frightening. The dazzling great halberd was so hot that it almost pierced through his eyes. Moreover, the great halberd spewed out a ray of light that was tens of thousands of feet long. It was going to split Su Yan in half. In an instant, an extremely cold cosmic killing force rolled down, accompanied by the great Tao, the energy of the universe, and the pressure of the long river of time and space. The sky was directly cut in half, and it slashed directly towards Su Yan. "Come on," Su Yan shouted coldly. He had sensed a great danger, but he was extremely calm. He stood between heaven and earth, majestic and majestic, like a part of the universe. His body was so tough that it was indestructible. Facing the great halberd that was descending from the sky, Su Yan held the universe weapon with one arm. It turned into a similar great halberd, and a Kuan Peng lay in the middle. Slash! The two great halberds streaked across the sky and collided in an instant. A loud, thunderous sound erupted, as if two shocking, murderous weapons had collided. This scene was terrifying and shocking. The void exploded, and heaven and earth were in turmoil. Soon, it was torn apart, and turned into a zone of destruction. Su Yan's universe weapon was blazing to the extreme. It steamed with killing light and emitted the aura of a king. It surged with the belief of wanting to compete with the strongest weapon in the world. However, the dazzling great halberd was even more terrifying. It was really sharp to the extreme. It was like the concentrated killing force of the universe as it bombarded the universe weapon. Yuan and the others panicked because a gap had appeared in Su Yan's universe weapon. His universe weapon was about to be crushed by the dazzling great halberd. One had to know. Su Yan's universe weapon had fused with the weapons of the three suns and had been bathed in the heavenly tribulation. It had evolved to the level of the top divine king's weapons. But now it was broken in a single exchange. The woman in yellow smiled. It was very bright and somewhat disdainful. She had already expected the outcome. It was not beyond her expectations. Although the great halberd had not been fully formed, this supreme treasure was already infinitely close to the level of the most terrifying supreme treasure in the world. However, the smile on her face did not last long. It slowly froze. Su Yan's universe weapon was broken, but this great halberd was still filled with the aura of a tyrannical weapon. It actually left Su Yan's hand on its own. It was like a murderous weapon that had been sleeping in hell had awakened. The almost broken universe weapon shone. Strands of mysterious yellow origin surged out from the inside and ran through the entire universe weapon. Its unparalleled potential was revived. In a short period of time, it was baptized by the mysterious yellow origin. In an instant, it was blazing by a large margin. Universe origin. The woman in yellow was shocked. This was what she longed for. She had also gone to the Chaos Pagoda, but unfortunately, she did not see the mysterious yellow origin. However, Su Yan had already obtained it. It was no wonder his cultivation progress was so fast. Even his weapon was bathed in it. Because it was suppressed, it caused the universe weapon to erupt with the weapon's soul and activate the universe origin. This weapon healed itself in the midst of destruction. It rippled with an even more terrifying energy and directly clashed with the snowy great halberd. Clang, clang. The two weapons collided violently and sent sparks flying everywhere. Although the snowy great halberd was still suppressing the universe weapon was still indestructible. It could even resist and not be destroyed. It seems that I have to thank you for activating the potential of my weapon, Su Yan said with a smile. After being tempered by the mysterious yellow origin, my weapon has developed a weapon soul and a complete great Tao of the universe. You have been baptized by the mysterious yellow origin. In the future, you will have great achievements. Unfortunately, the woman in yellow shook her head gently. At the moment when the two murderous weapons collided, the bronze weapon tree surged out. Its vast divine power filled the vast space-time of Emperor Road. Su Yan's eyes suddenly widened. He saw imprints that were rapidly enlarging and awakening. The figure became clearer, like a true immortal waking up from a deep slumber. It was filled with shocking heavenly power. It was a terrifying scene. It was as if a figure had crossed time and space and came to this world to participate in the battle. Boom! He was swinging his fist. It was extremely terrifying. The space between heaven and earth was weak and in a mess. It was blasted apart by the fist. This fist was extremely powerful. The aura rising from it was terrifying. In an instant, it rushed towards Su Yan's forehead, wanting to kill him with a single punch. Roar! A peerless crisis struck. Su Yan let out a loud roar and stood at the top of the field in an instant. Even his entire body surged with the brilliant light of the universe. It was as if the condensed universe was gushing out. It surged out. The extremely grand aura was like the birth of a vague king of the universe. What? The woman in yellow was shocked. Her pair of golden eyes stared at Su Yan in disbelief. What kind of secret technique was this? It was too powerful and peerless. Su Yan's fist was invincible. He immediately unleashed the cosmic fist and used his strongest trump card. The moment this fist was released, It was as if the universe was rotating. It blasted towards the figure standing on the top of the bronze weapon tree. Boom! It was as if they were fighting across time and space. The moment their fists collided, heaven and earth went berserk. The Emperor's road also went berserk. Everything was about to sink. Countless large cracks were formed in the space-time. Yuan and the others were shocked. This was Su Yan's absolute art. It was too powerful. Initially, they thought that everything would disperse and be blasted apart by Su Yan's fist. The imprint on the top of the bronze weapon tree would be obliterated by Su Yan's fist radiance. However, they were shocked. The figure was still there. It blasted out a second fist at lightning speed and blasted towards Su Yan. On the other hand, Su Yan was a little weak. The cosmic fist was too much for him. However, he was able to use the energy absorption ability that came from Su Yan's bloodline. It was a strange ability that Su Yan's body constitution was bestowed upon him. His body's universe absorbed an immeasurable amount of essence energy in a short period of time. He quickly stood on top of the tree and blasted out a second fist. Kill! He roared. His fist was domineering as if he was hammering the heavens. This was definitely a collision at the pinnacle. The cosmic fist was unleashed one punch after another. Su Yan was also recovering from his weak state. Explode. After more than 10 consecutive collisions, it was now considered one of the most amazing battles in the Emperor's Road. Heaven and earth collapsed, and space-time collapsed. It caused the depths of the Emperor's Road to faintly spread out one after another. It was extremely majestic and immortal energy waves. His conquest with the Master has actually triggered the Emperor's seed in the depths. This means that his potential has been recognized by the Emperor's seed. He has a chance of obtaining the strongest immortal seed that has been nurtured in the Emperor's Road for a long time. The Golden Woman's expression changed. She rushed forward like lightning and activated her golden armor. She exploded into her strongest state and coordinated with the imprint to suppress Su Yan. The Emperor's seed was more important. Nothing else mattered. Scram! Su Yan let out an angry roar. His eyes were filled with murderous intent. A tsunami-like rumble erupted from his chest. The secret technique of reincarnation was unleashed and instantly hit the Golden Woman. No matter how strong her armor was, it was still hit by the secret technique of reincarnation. Even the strange Tao of reincarnation penetrated the golden armor seal and attacked her body. Right now, Su Yan did not want any external forces to disrupt his fight for supremacy with the mysterious imprint. In the process of fighting fiercely with the mysterious imprint, Su Yan realized his own inadequacies. This was too important to him. This battle could not be interrupted. Su Yan had to rely on his own combat strength and the mysterious imprint to train himself and explore his own inadequacies. Only then could he become stronger and be able to deal with the unknown dangers in the future. Explode today, June 1st, Children's Day. I wish everyone a happy holiday. At the same time, I'll ask for some monthly children's tickets so that Su Yan can hold a doll soon. Huh. 9 Heaven's Divine Emperor. Chapter 1195. At the edge of the Emperor Road, a great battle broke out. It was extremely brilliant. This was also the most shocking clash of talents that Yuan and the others had ever seen in this new era. Even Su Yan was risking his life to rise again and again. He stood at the peak and clashed with a mysterious existence. Boom! In the process of the two celestial soldiers crushing each other, the two terrifying figures clashed with each other in their peak states. The energy ripples that spread out were so vast that even the depths of the Emperor Road were stirred up, giving birth to vast, immortal energy. It was like an immortal being waking up from a deep slumber. It was awakened by the energy ripples from the battle between Su Yan and the mysterious person. No one knew what was going to happen next. However, the Golden Woman could not sit still. She knew very well how mysterious and powerful the Emperor Seed was. This seed was also known as the greatest opportunity in this realm. It was extremely ancient. Even in prehistoric times, it was a material that was hard to come by. Only those young supreme beings who were truly invincible in time and space could hope to obtain it and control it. However, everyone who obtained it could quickly rise up in the future and stand at the peak for a short time. They could stand in an unimaginable realm and look down on the world. However, in this era, the Emperor Road had been sealed for a long time. The Emperor Seed was a supreme immortal seed that was nurtured by the Emperor Road. Although it took a long time to nurture, the Emperor Road had been sealed for a long time this time. It was enough to show that this Emperor Seed was probably the most terrifying and abnormal in history. Therefore, the Emperor Seed was too important. Once the Emperor Road was opened, it would also indicate that the Emperor Seed had surfaced. However, since Su Yin could trigger the Emperor Seed's perception, it was enough to show that he had a high chance of obtaining it. Moreover, there was another important factor. Su Yin was the supreme overlord of this realm. His chances were even higher. Furthermore, there was another important factor that the Golden Woman targeted Su Yin. Back in the bipolar star, the Golden Woman had once opened a forbidden land and dug out a mysterious seed. What was the origin of this seed? The Golden Woman wasn't sure, but she was sure that the value of that seed wasn't inferior to that of an Emperor's seed. After all, its origin was too great, and it was suspected to be related to the great existence who had traversed the Emperor Road back then. If the two seeds were gathered in Su Yan's body, it would be too terrifying. Since the current Su Yin had enough potential, this person really attracted the Golden Woman's killing intent. Boom! He rushed over, wanting to cooperate with the mysterious mark to suppress Su Yin. However, as soon as he joined in, Su Yin let out an angry roar. His chest began to shine, and as it rose and fell, a deafening roar like a tsunami erupted. The tiny person sitting cross-legged in Su Yan's chest came back to life, emitting the supreme reincarnation profound. This was Su Yan's trump card. He rarely used it unless he encountered a great crisis. Now that the Golden Woman dared to participate, Su Yin decisively used the reincarnation Great Tao and attacked the Golden Woman. Faced with the sudden energy, the Golden Woman tried to resist with her strength, but she underestimated the terror of reincarnation. It directly enveloped her golden battle body. This was the appearance of an extremely terrifying Great Tao Law, forming a reincarnation tunnel. Even if the Golden Woman resisted with all her strength, even with the golden armor, she couldn't seal the reincarnation energy. It attacked her delicate body. Ah! The Golden Woman screamed. She suddenly aged, and the exuberant golden radiance around her body dimmed. Her entire body began to age, and she was about to die. She flew out in a miserable state. Her life source was greatly damaged, and she was suppressed by reincarnation. During the process, she was in so much pain that she wished she was dead. There was even a kind of shame and anger. From the beginning, Su Yin could break through her defenses. However, Su Yin disdained to use this method to suppress the Golden Woman. Damn it! She was incomparably ashamed and angry. She did her best to resist reincarnation, but there was also a trace of fear in her heart. If Su Yin had a deeper grasp of reincarnation, perhaps she wouldn't be able to survive. Her body and soul would be destroyed in a single exchange. This is reincarnation energy. All the hairs on her body stood on end. Su Yin actually grasped such a method. This was equivalent to a supreme method to suppress young supreme beings. Reincarnation only existed in legends, and there were too few races that grasped the secret technique of reincarnation. Boom! The Golden Woman wasn't seriously injured by reincarnation. The armor on her body shone, resonating with her own life source to resist reincarnation. She recovered from her weakened state. Of course, if they were to fight head-on, this weakened Golden Woman would have already been killed by Su Yin. Now, Su Yin couldn't pay attention to her. He was currently clashing with the mysterious imprint at the top of the bronze weapon tree. Dong! Su Yin brandished his fists. His aura was domineering under the heavens, and the light of the universe surged within him. Every fist seemed to blast out the entire vast universe, containing the origin of all things. It was actually terrifying to the extreme. Just how strong is this person? He can still maintain such a transcendent state after facing Big Brother's strongest killer move so many times. Just who is he? Li was shocked. They had clashed dozens of times in a short period of time. Su Yin faced his opponent in his strongest state. He stood up from his decline again and again, becoming more and more courageous as he fought. If Su Yan's body hadn't been nourished by the bloodline and possessed a strong absorption ability, Su Yin would have been defeated. Yuan's heart was heavy. She said in a low voice, "This is the first time I've seen Su Yin lose in a battle of the same level. Just how strong is this person? Dragon City can raise the strongest true dragon." Si Yun said directly, "This is the cruel reality. The stronger the environment, the stronger the invincible prodigy. Su Yin will definitely face stronger enemies in the future. Now that he's fighting with a mysterious person, he'll definitely find his own shortcomings. We should be happy for him." Yeah, with Big Brother's achievements, is there anyone in the younger generation of the entire universe who can fight with him? Li nodded and said, "If Big Brother didn't face all of this, then his growth in the Divine King's realm wouldn't be too high. Being invincible in the world, but his own growth is also limited. This is what it means to be alone and seek defeat." Yuan was speechless. They were right. Only by fighting with stronger opponents could one realize their own shortcomings. After all, Su Yin had only stepped into the Divine King's realm for less than a year. Su Yin had yet to explore the path of the Divine King's realm. Now that Su Yin had encountered a cruel battle, this was also a significant struggle for supremacy in Su Yan's growth history. Although Su Yin had been defeated consecutively, he was getting braver as he fought. They believed that Su Yin would accumulate enough unparalleled resources in the Divine King's realm to deal with such an awkward situation. In fact, the fact that Su Yin could fight with a mysterious imprint until now was already enough to make the Golden Woman gasp in amazement. They didn't know the origin of the mysterious imprint. Although the mysterious imprint wasn't at its peak, Su Yan's potential was already shocking enough to be able to stand firm in front of it. Even in prehistoric times, he was still able to stand strong. He was also a young supreme being who could hold his own and had the potential to become the king of the universe. What was a universe king? This was the standard to measure the strongest combat power of the younger generation. There was only one universe king in a universe. It was equivalent to a true dragon overlord who had killed his way out of a group of dragons. In the future, only one person could stand in this domain. Boom. After more than 100 consecutive attacks, this battle was extremely tragic. Su Yan's entire body was drenched in blood. He was roaring and struggling in the hell. He continuously released his strongest potential and attacked with earth-shattering might. As the battle continued, the mysterious imprint at the top of the bronze weapon tree had already declined significantly. After all, it was only an imprint and couldn't exist for a long time. But it was still filled with an eternal and inextinguishable majesty. This imprint was as noble as an immortal true immortal, powerful and intimidating. From beginning to end, it had been looking down on Su Yin. Every time it punched out, it would erupt with a spirit that could shatter everything. Boom! When Su Yan's final attack erupted, the cosmic energy that surged out was more abundant than before. Its aura suppressed everything. It was disdainful and temporarily suppressed his sharpness. This punch was fast, accurate, and ruthless. It pierced through the mysterious imprint and blasted it into ashes. It disappeared so quickly. Su Yin was furious. He was somewhat regretful and dissatisfied. This was a head-on battle, and there were no tricks. He could only face it head-on and understand his own shortcomings and the flaws in his cultivation path. Therefore, he was resentful. If he had more time, he could have unearthed even more of his shortcomings. The path of the Divine King realm was just the beginning for Su Yin. But after this battle, Su Yin understood his own shortcomings. He was itching for the next path of cultivation. He couldn't wait to go into seclusion and cultivate. He needed time to explore his own path of invincibility. At this moment, Su Yin suddenly reached out and grabbed the snowy halberd. But the bronze weapon tree was too special. Not only was this tree mysterious, but also contained unimaginable power. It shook Su Yan's arm away and disappeared into space along with its roots. Not good. Su Yan's expression changed. The bronze weapon tree had disappeared too quickly and flew out of Emperor Road. This was a rare, immortal treasure. Su Yan was deeply regretful that it had slipped away right before his eyes. But soon, he saw the golden lady whose aura was greatly damaged. He was surprised that this woman had broken the reincarnation Great Tao. However, Su Yan still mocked her. Looks like you're not the master of the bronze weapon tree. It has abandoned you and flown away. Hearing this, the golden lady's expression dimmed. She was honest and said, I didn't expect you to be able to fight with him for a short while. But you should be glad, not regretful. If you encountered his real body, you wouldn't even be able to take a single blow. Even if you become the king of the universe, there's still a big gap between a high-level civilization and a low-level civilization. I have to admit that your words are a big blow to me. Su Yan walked over and smiled at her. But you don't realize it now. You're my trophy. The golden lady was furious. Her full chest rose and fell violently. She was so angry that she trembled. Her origin was extremely noble, but Su Yan saw her as a spoil of war. Su Yan's palm was filled with reincarnation waves, and he suppressed the golden lady in an instant. He stared at her and said, You what? You're my trophy. I can spare your life, but if you become my maid, I can spare your life. You're dreaming. The golden lady glared. She was furious. Maid? This isn't a dream. I'm just stating a fact. Su Yan looked at the golden lady. She had a perfect figure. He had to admit that her figure was perfect and there were no flaws to be found. Looking at her from a close distance, there was a kind of charm. What are you doing? The golden lady was frightened, especially under Su Yan's gaze. Her delicate body trembled, and goosebumps rose all over her body. She had an ominous premonition. Take off your clothes. Su Yan berated. This golden armor was very extraordinary. If he did not master the reincarnation Great Tao, it would be extremely difficult for him to do anything to her. Third update. Take off your clothes and beg for monthly votes.